Hello and welcome to Boston, Massachusetts for a rare non-conference matchup between UMass Boston and Manor College. It's the third all-time meeting between these two programs. 2 years ago, it was UMass Boston earning a win here at the Clark. Last year, Manor got their revenge, and these two teams going in very different ways. The Beacons 3-6 here in January, running a season-long 5-game losing streak. 3 of those losses coming by a combined 11 points. On the other side, Manor has been red hot, 7-2, an overtime win on Monday at Plymouth State. One of their 2 losses this month came by just a single point. The Beacons are going to look to turn the tides here in February. UMass Boston gets into a little bit of an easier stretch during their schedule. We'll take a commercial break and be back with the rest of our pregame here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
UMass Boston is my first choice because of the incredible theater department.
Because it has an excellent honors college.
Because here I get to interact with professors one-on-one.
Because I'm not going to be crazy in debt when I graduate.
Because at UMass Boston, I've met professors who have changed my life.
My first choice.
My first choice.
My first choice.
My first choice.
Make the University of Massachusetts Boston your first choice. Visit umb.edu/first choice.
And welcome back to the Clark Athletic Center here on the campus of UMass Boston. The Beacons looking for their 11th victory of the season. They were red hot to start the season, already eclipsing their win total from a year ago in first semester, but second semester has been a little bit more difficult. The Beacons faced the top teams in the conference back to back to back, suffering 3 of their 5 losses in a row. This has been a very difficult 4-game homestand. The Beacons playing the top 3 teams. 2 of those games were extremely close. One of them not very so. Right now we'll take a look at our player to watch. It's Sam Freeman, the lone 4-year senior and only player who's played in both of the contests all time against Manor College, is having a phenomenal senior campaign. Not only leading the Beacons with his 17 points per game, he's also among the conference leaders in rebounds and overall blocks. Freeman, a product of New Mission High School, looking to get a win against some guys who are very local as well on this Manor roster. Take a look at the all-time series. Mentioned it a couple times already. Tied 1-1. The Beacons win at home. Manor out there in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, earned a victory a year ago. The big difference was rebounding. 2 years ago, the Beacons dominated the glass, earning a huge lead in points in the paint and second chance points. Last year, the rebounds were even. Manor used their pressure defense, good for top 10 in the country in each of their first 3 years as a program, to down the Beacons by double digits. Right now, we'll take a look at highlights from that win 2 years ago as UMass Boston earned a 97-85 win over the Gators. 7 minutes and 44 seconds on the clock before the starters are announced. Right now, we'll take a look at the stats for these two teams. And Steve, it's very clear that Pine Manor came in with a concept of what kind of basketball they wanted to play 3 years ago when Rich Fozzie started this program over at Pine Manor College. They've been top 15 in the country all 3 years in scoring offense and top 10 all 3 years in forced turnovers, including first in their first year in steals per game. This program is going to push the pace. They're going to force you to turn the ball over. So when you look at the stats, they're skewed in favor of Pine Manor, but it shows you what the Beacons might need to do today as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can look at a couple things. I mean, you have to look at the freshman guards for UMass Boston, how they're really going to handle the pressure of the Pine Manor College press. I mean, you talked about it with the steals and really how they attack the basketball. And, I mean, you have two freshman point guards with Alex Sanchez and Ty Lee and a veteran with Iser Barnes. They're coming off a tough game against Keene State with, a 5-game stretch, if you really want to talk about it, with a lot of turnovers. So I think this is a huge game to see if their maturity really has grown over the last 5 games and if they can really hurdle that hump of the 5-game losing streak.
And one thing that'll be interesting to watch for today's game is a little bit of the rest factor. Pine Manor had to go on the road on Monday at Plymouth State. The Beacons have been off since Saturday. You know Pine Manor is going to push the pace, but the Beacons like that kind of pace as well. Will be interesting to watch in the second half. Right now we'll take a look at the team leaders, and already talked a bit about Sam Freeman, but this team is not a one-man team. A couple other guys are going to have to provide some key scoring, key rebounding. The Beacons are going to earn a win against a very good Pine Manor side. Yeah,
I mean, we talked about the obviously Sam Freeman being a dynamic duo with senior Powers down low. I mean, he really played well in the last couple games, kind of carrying the offense and really being a senior leader that he is. So it should be interesting to see how him and Freeman really play tonight, trying to get out of that 5-game skid.
On the other side for Pine Manor, their top scorer is a guy that you're very familiar with, Tank Roberson, one of the 3 players who's been there all 3 years for Pine Manor.
Yeah, from actually my hometown, Pittsfield, Mass, in Western Mass, was the second highest scorer in the county, actually history. So a very dynamic player, went to a year of prep school, and it looks like he's wearing a face mask today. Rumors had it down at the courtside floor that he actually broke his nose recently. So it should be interesting to see if he is affected by that face mask and see if it kind of skews his vision a little bit.
Well, it's certainly not a new thing for basketball players ever since Rip Hamilton went with the face mask back in the early 2000s. We'll take a look and see how it affects Roberson, who's the top scorer this year, but also the top scorer in program history, over 1,200 points as just a junior. See how that affects him at all. It's a very balanced team, though. You talk about Roberson being the top scorer, but they also get good scoring from Eric Rosario, their point guard, 10.1 points per game. Curtis Hyman, 9.6 points per game. Ellis Reed, their big man, 10.4 points, 9.3 rebounds. And Rasheed Bell averages 13 points a game. So it's not just one guy who's going to potentially have to pick up the scoring slack.
Well, I was here actually the first year they had the program 2 years ago. They played UMass Boston in their first collegiate year. And you could see that the program really started with a great group of guys and a great core group of guys that are just athletes and playmakers. And you could see that over their couple-year stretch that they have a great offense, so it should be interesting tonight.
A run-and-gun offense. Rich Fozzie brought in all freshmen, not something a lot of coaches do. They bring in some JUCOs, some transfers, trying to provide a little bit of leadership. Fozzie has since added a couple of junior college transfers in year 2 and year 3, but no seniors on the roster, just 3 returners from the team that played here 2 seasons ago. Right now, we'll take a look at head coach Rich Fozzie, who, as we mentioned, has done a really good job. That's actually his assistant out there. Fozzie has yet to make it. Oh, no, he's over in the corner with Jason Harris if we can get him. Rich Fozzie, in his 3rd season, has had a lot of success. They've been 500 or better in every season. This year, 13-6. They're an independent school, one of 9 in the country out of 416. So they're not playing for a conference championship. The conference they play in on the women's side, the GSAC, the Great South Athletic Conference, does not have a men's side. So that makes it tough. They're more playing for the ECAC or for that one season where they can actually put together a 25-5 year and potentially get an at-large bid. But you have to really like what this guy has done. Not trying to win right away, but trying to build a program over at Pine Manor.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it. I talked about it 3 years ago. Obviously, I'm going to reiterate to that. You could see that they kind of were building a program under all those freshmen that were kind of coming in, and he really wanted to groom those freshmen. Obviously, they all haven't really stayed, but the core group of guys that have come back, you mentioned Roberson, Rosario, I mean, great players and great playmakers that have really mentored this younger team very well.
Take a look right now at the Beacons head coach, second-year head coach Jason Harris, who's had to do a bit of rebuilding himself. That program that took on the Beacons 2 years ago, UMass Boston had a senior class that made up the entire starting lineup and 6 or 7 of their top 8 players. So it'll be a very different look from the Beacons if you're a Pine Manor fan. But Jason Harris slowly rebuilding, 6 wins a year ago, stuck on 10 for a while now, but certainly a much better year 2 than year 1.
Well, yeah, that was kind of the talk, that it was another rebuild year for UMass Boston, and it kind of really hasn't been like that. You mentioned it to, actually, my co-host Alex Barth mentioned, well, what do you got to do? Are you happy with this loss? Because it's a very tough Keene State team, and it was a tough loss. He said, I think we're a little past moral victories for this team. We're better than that, and we can win ball games. We just have to be better in the end of the game like we were at the beginning.
We'll take a commercial break and then bring you the starters for both teams right here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris, the subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown, and it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
We'll take a look real quick at the starters for Pine Manor before we head to the national anthem. We talked about Tank Robertson, the top scorer, Eric Rosario, the very talented point guard, Rasheed Bell out of East Boston, just a sophomore, Ellis Reed in the middle, averages a near double-double, and Curtis Hyman, a 3-year big man who's been very successful over his 3 seasons. We'll take a break for the national anthem and then bring you the Beacon starters and the keys to the game.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Welcome back to the Clark Athletic Center. My name is Seth Dorensky, joined by Steve Wachowski. And Steve, right now we'll take a look at the Beacon Stars going into the more veteran group, a group they used on Saturday to good results. The biggest issue for this group has just been finishing games late when they've just been a bit turnover prone and missing those key free throws.
And it's a huge game for Sam Freeman. I mean, he has the height advantage. He hasn't really had that in the last couple of games with Keene State, Eastern Connecticut, obviously UMass Dartmouth, another big team. Tonight, he can really eat, as Coach Harris says, with the lineup being smaller for the other team.
Yeah, you look at this Pine Manor side and some of the big guys on this team. Ellis Reed stands at 6'9", but we'll see how well Ellis Reed can deal with the strength of Sam Freeman. and the deceptive length. Sam only at 6'5", but he's so long, he plays a lot bigger than his size. Rasheed Bell at 6'4", Curtis Hyman at 6'6". They're a big athletic team, but they don't necessarily have a lot of players who love banging bodies down low.
And I mean, the Beacons really have played more physical teams, a lot taller teams all year, so it really wasn't a difference to them. But today they're really going to be playing with someone their size and someone that really runs the court like them. Great defense to offense just like them, so it should be an interesting game.
Take a look right now at the keys for this one. We've talked about a lot of these already, but for UMass Boston, you need to hit your free throws. First and foremost, the Beacons, 60.7% in their 3 close losses. This game should be close. Have to take care of the basketball. Another pretty simple one against a team that forces as many turnovers, but then attack the glass on both ends. This Pine Manor team wants to get out and run. If you can get the offensive rebound, if you can slow them down by forcing them to put more guys down low, gives you a chance to get back in transition defense and offense.
And not only to hit their free throws, but hit them when it counts. In the last minute of the game where they have 4 opportunities, you really have to make 4 opportunities instead of kind of going 3 for 4 or 2 for 4, and you're just leaving points out on the court.
UMass Boston had 5 free throws in the final 5 minutes of their loss to Keene State, 85-80. They went 2 of 5 on those free throws. Needed Sam Freeman to hit 1 of 2 to tie it, both to potentially win it. He missed the first, hit the second to tie the game at 70. The Beacons eventually lost it as it's easily won by Pine Manor in the road greens, going from right to left. UMass Boston in their home whites with the blue numbers and blue and black trim. Handoff up top for Roberson, looking to get around Kirksey, and there's going to be a hand check foul there on Kareem.
And Roberson, since he's been, since a little kid, especially in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, he's one of those guys that can really drive the basket and also shoot. So he's a multi-talented individual on the court, a very good player and a very dynamic player for Pine Manor.
45% field goal percentage, a deep 3 out of the hands of Curtis Hyman, who does shoot nearly 37% from behind the arc, and it's an early 3-0 lead for Pine Manor. Kirksey had Freeman there for a second, and Steve, with this full court pressure, if you can break it, you're going to have the looks. You just have to see that pass.
Yeah, they almost had a look down low, but Pine Manor kind of filled in.
Lee is blocked from behind, able to get away with it, but down to 6 seconds, and he loses the dribble. Out of the head of the pack is Rosario. Little contact from Lee. Offensive rebound there, and it bounces over to Rosario with the new 30 on the shot clock.
And we talked about the freshman. That's 1 turnover so far by Ty Lee, but we'll see how he kind of develops this game.
Into the corner, way too strong from Rasheed Bell. Barnes looking to push, 2-on-3. Iser Barnes all the way to the tin, too strong off the glass, and the rebound into the hands of Ellis Reed.
And it looks like the Beacons are really trying to play with Pine Manor and kind of speed up the pace of this game right now.
Hyman wants another one, knocks it down for the wing. Curtis Hyman, an early 2 threes. And it's a 6-0 start for Pine Manor. Barnes gets blocked. That was Ellis Reed once again down low, and you see Rich Fozzie move the ball, push the pace. This is a good start for Pine Manor. Roberson wants one from the near wing. Nothing but net. 9-0 in favor of Pine Manor. The Beacons forced to call a timeout just 1:52 into the contest.
In the last couple of games, the Beacons have really started off slow, but their opposition has also started off slow. Today, Pine Manor College, it's already 9-0 game in the first 2 minutes. You know they're going to score. You have to start scoring the basket and obviously playing better defense.
Yeah, this is one of the more difficult matchups if you're UMass Boston, because Pine Manor certainly has the length to frustrate, the size to frustrate, and they have the ball handlers. Looking at Pine Manor on the season, they shoot it at just 32.6% from distance, so not a tremendous three-point shooting team, but it's a high-volume three-point shot. We've already seen Hyman, one of their taller players, knock down a pair, so you're going to have to defend the 3 from 1 through 5.
And we talked about Rosario and Roberson, and Hyman wasn't even on the list to talk about. A very diverse team, to say the least.
Lee working against Roberson just inside the half-court line for Kirksey. Look for Sinelli just into the game along with Sanchez. Kirksey a strong drive, up and in, and the Beacons on the board 2 minutes and 13 seconds in.
And last game, Kirksey came off his first quarter scoring 7 points, a really quick start that kind of boosted the Beacons in the first half of the last game.
It's controlled here by Rosario, working through. Able to get it to the far corner. Roberson will dish it back up top for Bell. Some speed over Lee, way too strong. Sinelli with the rebound. 3-minute Barnes, a pair of seniors to the bench with the Beacons 2 freshmen checking in. There's a soft foul on Curtis Hyman, his first, team's first. And Steve, the Beacons, not for much, but have finally gotten a defensive stop and a chance to cut into this deficit.
Yeah, and when you look at the pressure that Pine Manor College is kind of putting on them, you got to wonder how many times they're really fouling.
Lee a bit too strong off the glass. Bell had the outlet, a player down. That's Roberson wearing the Rip Hamilton mask. Hyman drives around Kirksey over Sinelli. We're going to get a blocking foul on Alex Sanchez, who was trying to take the charge.
Sanchez, another freshman point guard for the Beacons that really has a great upside and has a great freshman campaign for the Beacons so far.
Hyman to the line, already with 6 points. Make it 7 after hitting the first free throw. He's a 71.7% free throw shooter. For the Beacons, they'll send Barnes back in there for Lee. Hyman's second is good as well for the junior forward from New Britain, Connecticut. One of 5 players who were named to the Division III All-Independent team. Sanchez loses the dribble. Rosario pick it up at his own three-point line. Rosario looking to go all the way. Powers in there for the first time. Powers can't grab it. Ball swatted out of bounds by Barnes as it came out of the hands of Bell.
And a point to really make, Pine Manor College being an independent school, it's not like they're kind of in the middle of the week and they don't have a conference game. Every game's kind of like a conference game for them, and it's not like they're kind of, I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but just not playing up to what they usually play on the weekends.
Powers over for Sinelli to Barnes. Hyman hit another basket. He's already got 10 of the team's first 13. Strong move from Kirksey. He's got all 4 of the Beacons' points. And UMass Boston trails 13-4. Bell driving on Barnes, kicks it out, and Reed is able to save it. A nice catch from Kirksey. The Beacons running 4-on-1. Powers all the way to the dish over Rosario. And UMass Boston back to within 7, 13-6. Ball kicked out up top to Hyman, who stayed dangerous. Long 2, foot on the line. He has 12 points in the opening 4 minutes and 5 seconds. And Pine Manor leads 15-6.
Yeah, and I mean, they're on pace. Obviously, they average about 90 points a game. They're on pace right now to break that.
Sanchez needs help, finds Powers, has a lane. Powers will take the pull-up jumper off the glass, no good. Bell rips down the rebound. Rosario wide open. Hyman, he's feeling it. Right hand too strong. Sinelli the rebound, and UMass Boston looks to push. Sinelli gives it up in a bad spot. Rosario the pull-up two. He's short. Ellis Reed the rebound. He towers over everyone. Sinelli nearly gets the steal right back, but it's out of bounds off the Beacons freshman, and will get immediate timeout. UMass Boston trailing 15-6. Take a break along with the teams in what has been a high-paced first 5 minutes plus.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Six Pine Manor here in the opening 440-60. We talked about Pittsfield's finest, Tank Roberson, being a problem. Instead, it's been Curtis Hyman here in the early going.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Rosario. We give him a lot of credit, and obviously Roberson. But the player to watch tonight is Hyman, a very dynamic player. You saw a couple spin moves. You saw a couple deep threes. A very versatile player playing very good right now. 12 out of their 15 points in the first 5 minutes.
UMass Boston's going to go back to the bench for more reinforcements. Maurice McGrath, the all-rookie team member from a year ago, in for the first time. Sam Freeman back in there as well. Freeman working against the sub, Josh Gauss, sophomore center out of Poughkeepsie. To the far corner, it's another sub just into the game. That's number 10, Antoine Brown. Rather, number 30, a wide open three from Chancey Williams, but he's off the mark.
And McGrath played very good against this team, Manor College, last year. Didn't play the first semester, so it should be interesting to see how he really takes on this defense tonight.
A little bit bigger, a pretty good proven score for the Beacons. Freeman, the left-hand hook, can't finish. We're going to get a foul on Josh Gauss. Sophomore stands at 6'6", making his 20th appearance, averages just under 18 minutes per game. And we talked about needing to get Sam Freeman involved. That's the first touch for Freeman down low.
I was just about to mention it. They really haven't been able to get him the ball just because it's been a really transition game and a couple steals for the Beacons so far.
Freeman did not have a point, had just one shot a year ago in the loss to Pine Manor. UMass Boston was down by 20 at the half, fought back, but still fell by about a dozen. Freeman's second rims in. Despite all the Beacons' free throw shooting woes, 5 of their top 6 rotation players all average 70% or better from the free throw line. They're a very good free throw shooting team, just not in the final 5 minutes of games.
Actually, first in the conference for a Little East conference that's a very competitive basketball conference. Just struggling as of late in the last couple games.
Williams to hand off for Hyman. Roberson looking for another triple. He's been perfect on his 2 attempts, and it's 18-8. Sanchez being double-teamed here on the full-court pressure. Gets it across for Barnes, and Cross just in time. Freeman will give it right back for Barnes. The Beacons will set up with 17.
And a lot of pressure coming from Roberson up top. Really struggling, the Beacons, to try to get it down low to Freeman.
Freeman wants the ball down low. They can't find him. Barnes is going to try to answer. He's true. And the Beacons back within 18-11. Two subs for Pine Manor. One for the Beacons waiting to check back in. Roberson had a pair of screens up top, trying to find Hyman, who had the hot hand in the opening couple minutes. Roberson looking for a deep one. Front rim no good. The Beacons had 3 players there, couldn't get the rebound. Instead, it's Gauss with the right-hand slam.
And the Gators aren't afraid to take the deep 3. I mean, you see they have averaged 90 points a game. They occasionally get over 100. They'll take very deep shots.
Kirksey able to get out of pressure. Barnes, the pump fake, out wide for McGrath, a 3. That one falls, and the Beacons within 6 after trailing by 10 a minute ago.
And McGrath has been non-existent in the games he has played in the last couple Beacons games. It'll be interesting to see how he does tonight and if playing a team that he really played well against sparks his play.
Sanchez for Kirksey, back for Sanchez, up top for Barnes, double team, player wide open is Freeman down low, can't finish. He'll go to the line for 2. That's 2 fouls on Curtis Hyman, and if nothing else, gets the hot hand out of the game.
Yeah, and it looks like the Beacons are really starting to find their pace, find their rhythm, and kind of slow it down offensively and get it into Sam Freeman to get the shot down low.
Actually called that one on Goss, the sophomore center, who's also in there. Freeman misses the first, so 2 of 3 today. For Pine Manor, they'll bring in Tavon Bennett, the junior guard out of Orange, New Jersey, a Brookdale Community College transfer. Along with Makai Hunter, a freshman forward out of Middletown, Connecticut. Steve, this is a very deep Pine Manor team. UMass Boston doesn't like to go more than 8 or 9 deep. It's interesting to see McGrath out there, maybe Jason Harris trying to shift things up a little bit.
Yeah, a deep team, and obviously they have to be a deep team just because of the fact that they run so fast and so offensively based.
Double dribble there on Tavon Bennett, who was getting a little contact. He was looking for the foul. The referees give it the other way. Today's 3-man crew, Christopher Anderson, Jeffrey Adams, and Rich Napolitano, as Barnes will give it right back.
A little confusion from the Beacons guards and Kirksey right now, going back and forth on what to really do against this dynamic press from Pine Manor College.
High Manor struggling to get it in. Finally, they send it up top for Hunter. Hunter far side for Goss. Goss over Freeman, who gives up a little size. Freeman rips down another rebound. Lee with his eyes up at all times, drives into the front court, and he'll dribble back out with 22. Right back in, McGrath's far side, kicks it for Barnes. The pump fake and draws the contact. That'll be a foul on the floor, the fourth already, and the first on Mekhi Hunter.
And we talked about how good the defense really is for Pine Manor. They're getting a lot of tic-tac fouls, not only down low, but kind of in transition, which you can usually see when you get a team that steals a lot.
Kirksey, too strong, gets his own rebound, tries to get it to Freeman, couldn't handle it. Ellis Reed back into the game, takes the steal for Roberson. Roberson in transition around Lee, gets slowed up a little bit, short on the long jumper, and Barnes runs into a player, somehow able to keep it, has Lee far side. Lee, the left hand lay, and the Beacons within 20-17.
Lee had a game, a career high last week playing Keene State, so you look to see if his offense really brings into today and carries over to tonight's game.
Pass first point guard who's very good in transition. Not a big-time shooter, but very effective near the cup. Roberson working on McGrath. 9 on the shot clock. Out wide, it's Hunter. Denied by Freeman. Kirksey with the rebound this time around. Steve, after being down 18-8, the Beacons currently on a 9-2 run. McGrath from distance along 2, and it's a one-point game.
And that is exciting as a Beacons fan. With Maurice McGrath added to this offense, that is a spark, really, to this depleted offense as of late for the Beacons.
Averaged 11.6 points a year ago, good for third on the team. Long 3 is off the mark. Lee the rebound. McGrath playing in just his second game. He played in 8 minutes in that blowout loss to UMass Dartmouth 2 weeks ago, finishing with 5 points. Just his second appearance of his junior season was at UMass Dartmouth his freshman year, did not play. Freeman dribbles it off his own foot, and Kirksey forced to give up the foul in transition. That's his second already. An immediate timeout. Steve, a slow start, but the Beacons getting back into the game slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're kind of finding their pace in the game, and I mentioned before, but they're really starting to look down low and kind of slow the game down, which their freshman point guards are doing a great job of doing.
Take a commercial break along with the teams. UMass Boston back to within a point, still 10:34 left in this first half.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Pine Manor 20, UMass Boston 19. Pine Manor back out on the floor. They'll go with Rosario, Hyman, Ellis Reed, Rasheed Bell, and the lone bench player out there is Tavon Bennett. The Beacons will go with Ty Lee, Dan Powers, Dason Sinelli. First time we've seen Neil Cesar and Iser Barnes pressuring the ball here with Rosario looking for help. Rosario right at the free throw line goes up top for Hunter. Rosario gets it back. Now it's Bell who's been quiet. Bell kicks it out. Reed the long jumper. And that's a very impressive shot for a guy at 6'9". Hesitated a bit, but sunk it cleanly.
And we talked about Pine Manor having a longer bench, not really utilizing all of it, just like Coach Harris of the Beacons.
Power stripped from behind. Good work from Curtis Hyman. Hunter comes away with the steal. Under 10 minutes to play. The Beacons back within 3. It's Hyman who scored 12 early on. Over 4 players. Can't finish. Powers tried to get the rebound. He was tripped up. Eventually Lee with it. He's got Sinelli to his right, but he'll slow it down.
And another player that's really been quiet for the Beacons today is Dan Powers, number 23. You got to look to him to kind of spark the Beacons offense right now.
Lee takes a little contact, can't finish. Reed rips down the rebound. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Beacons deal with Ellis Reed with Sam Freeman on the bench. Powers, their tallest player at 6'4", doesn't necessarily have the length that Freeman does in terms of wingspan. Rosario down low for Reed over the smaller Barnes, and he has 4 in a row. His team leads by 5.
Right on cue. As you said it, Reed really using his height to catch the ball in transition and just lay it in for an easy layup.
6'9", it's pretty easy to use that height. It's Lee dishing out to the near side. Cesar, the Beacons' three-point specialist, no good. Powers couldn't get the rebound. Bell may have taken a step. Gets it ahead for Hunter. Hunter, through a couple players, is stripped. And now Powers will find Sinelli in traffic. No, no, no. Rosario gets a hand on it and comes the other way. Rosario behind the back pass looking for Reed. Might have been a bit deep for him to take another jumper. Rosario calling out directions with 17 seconds. Kicks it over. Hyman's already hit 2. This one's a bit short. Nice job by Cesar on the closeout. Lee around one player trying to find Sinelli, who kicks it off his foot and out of bounds.
And I mean, back and forth, missed shots to turnovers. It looks like both teams are kind of scuffling right now on the offensive end.
Freeman in for Barnes. On the other side, Roberson, the team's top scorer, will replace Hunter. So the starting 5 back in there for Pine Manor, already leading by 5. Next stoppage will likely lead us to the under 8 media timeout. 8:08 to go in this first half. Pine Manor's led for most of the way. Good move from Rosario. Takes the contact, the shot on the floor. So he'll head to the line for a... No, that's just a 14 foul. So they'll inbound from underneath the Beacons basket. First on Sinelli, 4th on the Beacons. Rosario calling out directions with a new 30. Underneath Freeman, trying to find help. And it's Reed looking for another one. Bit too strong on that particular jumper.
Yeah, sometimes as a basketball player, you want a little bit contested, being wide open for a couple seconds, maybe getting into his mind right there.
Lee looking for Freeman, and Freeman will draw the reach in on Reed.
And we talked about it the last couple games. The significance of Sam Freeman, Dan Powers not really getting in foul trouble, and his first tonight, obviously with Reed being a dynamic scorer for Pine Manor, you really want to keep Sam Freeman and Dan Powers out of foul trouble.
A little bit of a run right now for Pine Manor College out of the last media timeout. We'll see what the Beacons can do after this stoppage. 7:40 to go in the first half. UMass Boston trails by 5.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
UMass Boston will bring Powers, Lee, Sinelli, Freeman, and Sanchez out of the break. Steve, what do the Beacons need to do offensively to start chipping away at this deficit again?
Well, we definitely didn't undersell this game. I'll tell you that much right now. A very exciting game so far. A lot of offense, a lot of transition points, quick game. They really need to slow it down and get back to where they really are as an offense.
Freeman hits the 4-footer. Reed towers over Sinelli and grabs a rebound. Ellis Reed is unfair down there. 6'9", pretty athletic as well for the sophomore center out of Hartford, Connecticut. Rosario trying to kick it out. Powers grabs it away and slows it down, noting that there were 4 guys back.
Yeah, I mean, something we did undersell was Ellis Reed. Been huge for Pine Manor tonight, grabbing boards and scoring buckets.
That time he doesn't get the block, but he forces Ty Lee to change the shot a little bit. Goes out of bounds off the Beacons and back to the Gators with 7 minutes to go in the half. The lead has been as many as 10 for Pine Manor. The Beacons cut it to 1 at 19-18, trying to get the lead for the first time in a while. Hyman draws contact, and he got Powers up in the air, and Powers actually landed on him. A pretty obvious foul for the referees.
And you could see that the Gators are really running their offense through Hyman tonight. I mean, he was hot early on with a couple three-pointers, and then he drove the lane a couple times, got a couple buckets, but they're really running their offense through him tonight instead of Roberson.
Hyman misses the first. That's the first on Dan Powers, the fifth on the Beacons, 5 on both sides with 6:50 to play. Hyman connects on the second, a little bit of love from the back of the rim. Full court pressure in effect whenever Pine Manor gets a made basket. Sanchez ahead for Powers. The Beacons haven't turned it over so much on the press. It's just been a couple of lapses down low, more so. Lee around his screen. Reed slows him down. Over to the far side. Sinelli looking to drive on Reed. A physical finish, and the Beacons back to within 25-23.
And Sinelli, a very athletic player for the Beacons. Definitely another player that's a freshman who has a lot of upside in the future.
Bell along, 2 no good. Reed the offensive rebound. Rosario around Sanchez, can't finish. Thought he got fouled by the smaller Sanchez. Lee double team, needs help, breaks through it for Sanchez, and the Beacons will set up a chance to tie or take the lead. Freeman down low for Powers. Powers is blocked, but a bit of contact. We'll see which of these two players is picking up his second foul.
And the Beacons really trying to initiate Powers into this offense and really try to get him going, as he's such a dynamic player and definitely a huge scorer for the Beacons.
This time it is the second on Curtis Hyman. For the Beacons, Dan Powers to the line, the senior out of Westwood, Mass. Knocks down the first. Powers averaging 13.1 points per game. Good for third on the team. He's also third in the conference with his 10.5 rebounds per game as Rosario heads to the bench. Very frustrated there, slapping the edge of the seat. He takes a seat along with Ellis Reed and Hyman back into the game for Pine Manor. Josh Gauss alongside Lukman Abdur-Roof, the freshman out of Springfield, in for the first time, and Chancey Williams, the team's top scorer off the bench. Williams to the near side for Abdur-Roof, kicks it out. Sinelli the steal. He's got Lee running to his right. He's going to take it all the way. Right hand slam. The Beacons lead 27-25.
Sinelli, we talked about it, has hops that can jump out of the gym. You see it right there. Really electrified this crowd at the Clark Athletic Center Gymnasium.
Well, the Beacons started slow, down 18-8. They've taken the lead here, outscoring Pine Manor 19-7 over the last 10 minutes. Rebound bouncing around an Abdur-Roof, able to save it off of Powers. It'll stay with Pine Manor with 5:20 to go. Steve, we've seen the hops out of Dacing Sinelli, but in that situation, if you have a guy running with you out ahead of you, if you take it yourself, you've got to finish with a strong, convicted finish. And that's the best dunk we've seen this year at home.
Yeah, easily the best dunk, obviously, we've seen here at home. A Beacons offense that's kind of been struggling here and there. Jason Sinelli really puts it on his back and throws it down.
Sinelli, talking to him in pregame, said that he can shoot, but he prefers to drive. Freeman stripped to the ball. Abdur-Roof with the steal. Ahead for Roberson, pushing 2v2. Down low, a good pass. There was contact. The referees are letting a lot go, and that one hit off the underside of the backboard out of the hands of Rasheed Bell.
And you can see Ty Lee really maturing there and kind of taking the ball back, takes it to the lane for the basket, and 2 for the Beacons.
That hesitation dribble has been lethal all season long. Lee gives the Beacons a 29-25 lead with 4:30 to go. Both teams speeding it up a bit. Roberson down low, and that might be the second on Powers as they collided with the Pine Manor player.
And Ellis Reed really hasn't been in the game for the last couple of minutes, so the Beacons really haven't had to worry about a down low threat. With Powers getting his second foul, he checks out, and that's hurting the Beacons.
Yeah, that'll probably be the end of the half for Dan Powers with the 2 fouls. 6th on the Beacons, 6 on each side. The next foul will lead to the 1-and-1. Gauss checks in for Bell. Hard take to the basket, and we've got a foul on Sinelli fighting for the rebound. Sinelli now has 2 to join Powers. We'll see McGrath head back in. And Steve, because that was an attempted shot out of the hands of Josh Gauss, he'll head to the line for 2, and he's one of their better free throw shooters, shooting 80% on the year.
Well, I mean, you have to have some good free throw shooters if you're going to average 90 points a game. Such a good offense. Obviously, you've seen the three-pointer tonight. You've seen Roberson and a couple other guys drive the basket tonight, and you've seen very good free throw shooting from the stripe for the Gators.
Goss misses but gets his own rebound. Everyone forgetting about the free throw shooter. Can't finish amongst 4 Beacons. Gets a second offensive rebound and is finally tied up.
Well, you can see Coach Harris, that's a lack of hustle right there for the Beacons. And I mean, when you have a 5-game skid, you're really trying to break that 5-loss skid in a row. You got to think of the mental plays.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell how a 6'6" guy, despite being the free throw shooter, was left all alone there. So the Beacons cleared out that far side of the lane. Beacons had the ball back on the tie-up. 16 on the shot clock, 4 minutes to go in the half. The Beacons leading by 3. It's been a rare sight here in the first half, but the Beacons fighting back from an early 10-point deficit to take control. See 3 substitutes for Pine Manor after the media timeout. Lee looking for his offense some more. The teardrop from inside the free throw line, and it's 31-26.
That's another exciting scene for the Beacons fans. Lee, not much of a shooter in his first 10, 15 games, but now he's starting to heat up as a point guard shotter.
Hyman's gone cold a little bit. Gals can't get the rebound. It's out of bounds off the Beacons. We'll take a moment to collect our thoughts and take a media timeout along with the 2 teams. Final media timeout of the first half. It's the Beacons leading by 5.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university for the 21st century.
Make sure to stick with us during the halftime show. We'll have an interview with head coach Jason Harris to look at the top 10 plays from winter break, bring you updates from around the rest of the conference and around Beaconville. 2 other teams were in action yesterday, and we'll have highlights of the first half as UMass Boston, at least one electric dunk. We're not used to seeing that. Sam Freeman had one during this 4-game homestand, but I believe that's just the 2nd dunk of the year here at home for a UMass Boston player.
Well, you had to know that this was going to be an electric game to watch, a very exciting and offensive game. I mean, I'm excited watching this. Don't tune away from your screens. It's going to be an exciting finish tonight.
Both of these teams coming off of overtime games. The Beacons lost to Keene State out of bounds off Ellis Reed. Pine Manor earned an overtime win at Plymouth State. Sinelli right now is being attended to on the Beacons bench. He went out with the 2 fouls, but that'll be interesting to watch. This game has certainly seemed like his type of game. Leave for Freeman. Freeman fighting with Reed. Reed to the floor, and it's out of bounds off of Reed. His size hurting him there. Was on top of the ball, but his left leg, it looks like, was out of bounds. That leg has to be twice as long as Alex Sanchez's.
Yeah, two freshman point guards that are definitely smaller than Reed, to say the least.
Sanchez back out top, 20 on the shot clock. Sanchez down low for Freeman, working on the bigger Reed. Goes into the body. It's out of bounds off of Reed. It's a nice little battle. Freeman, the Beacons' senior center, averages 17 points per game. Reed averages over 2 blocks per contest. Freeman all the way with the right hand. Made the same exact play he did against UMass Dartmouth last week, and the Beacons' lead is 7.
And Freeman with a good spin move, obviously, really has improved his game since the first 2 years of being here. A senior that's really a leader on this Beacons team.
Roberson from distance gets that one to rattle in. He's got 3 threes, 9 total points on, I think, 4 shots, Steve. He hasn't taken many of them. Averages just under 20 points a game.
Hasn't really taken many of them. Obviously, you see Hyman being the offensive guy that they really went to tonight.
Barnes goes right at Reed and draws the contact. We're going to take a look at that dunk from Sam Freeman after the first free throw. And, Steve, it's all about the fake right at the beginning that draws the defender out of the way. We saw him do the same exact thing against UMass Dartmouth, and as long as these teams don't necessarily scout that play, he's going to be able to get it, as Barnes is too strong. And now let's roll the tape.
Well, you look, he just catches the ball, obviously. Such a swift move and then takes it to the rack.
The ball fake to the player coming in is leading to a little bit of hesitation from the defender, leading to two very big dunks from Sam Freeman, the Beacon senior center. 34-29 game. Barnes hits 1 of 2. Makai Hunter can't finish there. Lee looking up as he is so good at doing. Finds McGrath driving on Hunter. Up top for Barnes. Just barely kept that one alive. Barnes no good. 4 green shirts there for the rebound. Hunter the one who collects it.
Even though it was a missed shot for the Beacons, and McGrath getting significant minutes tonight, that's exciting if you're a Beacons fan.
Roberson can't finish, and Hyman back into the game with 2 fouls. Called for the hold there on Barnes. Hyman the longer player, Barnes though the more explosive, and he draws the contact. It'll be the 1-and-1 here, but most importantly, Hyman is going to have to sit not only for the final 147, but potentially maybe early in the second half if they want to keep him there for the rest of this game.
That's definitely a tough hit to a Gator team that really presses the ball and really uses Hyman's height down low. Obviously a big scorer for the Gators and has a big presence down low.
Barnes misses the front end. That was the 8th team foul on Pine Manor, so one more 1-and-1, and then the Beacons potentially shooting the double bonus. Just 1:40 to go in the half. Rosario working on Sanchez, needs help, finds Jarrell Francis just into the game, runs over Sam Freeman. That'll be a charge on Francis, the freshman forward out of the Bronx. The Beacons get it back, a chance to extend this 5-point advantage.
A very selfless Beacons team that you could see them take multiple charges in the last couple of games. A very selfless team, to say the least.
Yeah, that's all Jason Harris. Harris, an undersized big back in his playing days at Rhode Island College, had to give up the body against some of these bigger teams. Barnes tried to find McGrath in the corner, knocked out of bounds off of Francis. It'll stay with UMass Boston. 21 on the shot clock, 1:23 to go in the half. Steve, real quick, what kind of lead do you think Jason Harris would be happy with after these next 1:23?
Well, I think a 5-point lead is definitely a good lead going into the half.
Reed lays that one in as he almost clung on to the rim there. The Beacons a turnover right off the inbounds. That's not going to make Harris very happy. A 3-point advantage now with the 1:10. UMass Boston could run a 2-for-1 here if they use the clock perfectly. Lee calling for it up top, being pressured by Roberson with just under a minute to go. 14 on the shot clock. Freeman giving the screen. Now Lee looking for Freeman. Instead, he'll go to Barnes from the wing for 3. A little bit short. Reed the rebound and a chance to bring it within 1 or tie this game up. Rosario right back for Francis. Rather, that's Chancey Williams. 30, not 33. Now it's Roberson. Kisses it off the glass, no good. Reed can't get the rebound, but it's Iser Barnes called for the little bit of a hip check there on the big man. And it'll stay with the Gators, a 1-and-1 upcoming for Ellis Reed. Just the first on Barnes, 8th on the Beacons.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about what would Coach Harris really be happy with going to the halftime. You've seen the last couple minutes the turnovers by the Beacons, and obviously a chippy foul here that wasn't really smart by Iser Barnes. Not the way that they wanted to really finish off this last half, and their finish in the last couple games, in the last minutes, haven't been so hot.
Reed hits both. The Beacons get the call back as there was a little bit of a hip check there on Lee, who tried to dribble through the double team. They'll call it a blocking foul. That's 2 on Tavon Bennett. So 2 on Bennett and 3 on Hyman. It'll lead to Ty Lee shooting a pair. Lee on the season, one of the Beacons' better free throw shooters, 73.9%, 4th on the team. Knocks down the first. Still 30.3 seconds left. So a chance for Pine Manor to add points on the board. Lee's second is good as well. 4 consecutive made free throws between these two teams. The shot clock was turned off despite the fact there were technically 0.3 seconds left. But either way, expect Rosario, the junior point guard, to play for this last shot. Rosario out there with Chancey Williams, Jarrell Francis, Ellis Reed, and Tank Roberson, who's hit 3 threes in this first half. Rosario with 8 seconds, still hasn't started moving, down to 6. He's going to drain a long three, and that one's too strong. Rebound, though, into the hands of Williams. Well short. Freeman the rebound, and the Beacons may be fortunate there to not give up points.
Yeah, Roberson looked upset after that play because he looked wide open, but obviously they didn't get the look that they wanted, and it looks like Roberson's a little bit upset going into the locker room.
Steve, a first half that was a little bit all over the place. Pine Manor got out to the 8-point lead. The Beacons came back, took a 5-point lead. In the end, it's a 3-point Beacons advantage at half. What do you think UMass Boston needs to do to take control of this game maybe earlier on in the second half and avoid a tight finish?
Well, they have to take care of the ball. Obviously, you saw the turnovers that resulted into easy baskets for the Gators. So you really have to understand that they have to take care of this ball.
We're going to take a commercial break and then head down low with an interview with head coach Jason Harris.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Come on, Jake. As usual, she wins it. A chance in front. Her shot is in the net. Crystal.
Back to our halftime show, joined by head coach Jason Harris. Coach, a slow start. You went down by 10, able to get back into the game, had a 5-point lead, head into the break, leading by 3. How have you felt about your team's performance, especially in transition against the team that's going to try to push the pace of this game? It seems like you've been trying to match that at least to this point.
Yeah, honestly, there's probably too many points. I don't know if we want to play at this pace all night. Again, their transition points will come off our bad decisions on offense. Forcing, trying to split plays and not handling their pressure and taking quick bad shots. That's how they're going to run up and down. If we just continue to make good decisions and we're shooting it at 54%, so it's hard to run when you're taking the ball out of the net. So we got to continue to take care of the ball on offense, but we got to finish plays on defense. They have 11 offensive rebounds, and that's probably why they're still in the game right now.
Ty Lee is not a guy who normally looks to shoot first, but today he's been finding the holes. What's been the most impressive part of his game thus far?
Honestly, just his preparation and practice. Ever since Keene, he still came back and he's approached practice the right way. He's being aggressive. We're telling them just don't have turnovers, just don't throw up junk when you get in there, because they're extending and they're trying to take away or pressure us a little bit on the perimeter so we can drive the ball, we can get to the rim, and more importantly, we can see Sam on the dump-offs.
Defensively, how do you cope with the combination of Reed and Hyman? Both big guys can extend a little bit away from the basket, which gives them a chance for those offensive boards.
Oh man, we got to continue to do what we're doing. I mean, again, it's not necessarily those guys that are getting the offensive rebound. It's more, our guards aren't helping out. We're watching. We had a play where one of our guys leaked out in transition. Instead of helping out on the rebounds, it's going to take a whole team to rebound the ball tonight. We got to do a better job of that in the second half.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. A good start to January thus far. The Beacons lead by 3, looking to snap this 5-game losing streak. We'll head up top right now and take a look at the top 10 plays from winter break.
Kick save, and you're right. Brett Mason keeping that. That thing was trickling in.
A little bit behind it. Supernini for Timberland. Timberland, nothing on the shot. Rebound tipped home by Daly.
Full of trickery, nursery, rhyming, hickory, dickory, blowing that sour, the hood call it pickory, biggie, puffy, buster, victory. Worry about the past, cause that was yesterday. I'ma put it on the line, cause it's they couldn't style it. Unless you was a stewardess, you won't know what to do with this. First I took the time out, then I put the time in. Money ain't everything, it's more about the timing. So I got the Audemars, flawless diamonds. In other words, that's called perfect timing. I feel like a favor, I feel like a savior. The clock on my neck, I feel like a flavor. I go so hard,
with Lindsay scoring on the Tiffany front.
And welcome back to the Clark Athletics Center. After 20 minutes, the Beacons lead 36-33. And before we get further into our halftime show, Steve, very interesting approach. 10 minutes left in the half. It's a 15-minute halftime, and we saw Pine Manor running out, already getting shots up. Normally you don't see teams come out till 6, maybe 5, sometimes even 2 or 3 minutes. Interested to see, is this maybe Pine Manor not feeling like they need to make a ton of adjustments, or maybe they just want to get some more shots up. They didn't shoot particularly poorly from the floor. Well, 26.8%. Maybe that is pretty poor. But it didn't seem like the shooting was the issue in that first half.
Well, I mean, when you look at how many points they score a game, I mean, they average 90 points a game, and obviously right now they're kind of on pace for 66. So maybe they think it's their shot. Obviously, 28.3%. Not the best percentage that they're kind of looking for.
Right now, we'll take a look at those stats that we were talking about. First, the team statistics. UMass Boston shooting 54.2%. Head coach Jason Harris talked about it. From 3 of the Beacons, 2 of 4. 5 of 13 for Pine Manor, 38%. UMass Boston shooting better from the free throw line, 8 of 11. Shot just 60.7% or less in those 3 close losses. Pine Manor, 6 of 8 rebounds. Tighter than I thought they would be, 21-20 in favor of Pine Manor, but 11 offensive rebounds to 2 in favor of the Gators.
Well, another stat you got to look at is just turnovers. I mean, 11 turnovers for the Beacons. I mean, that's a lot and too much that they can give up right now. And Pine Manor has really made them pay on the turnovers that they've had.
A balanced attack for UMass Boston, not so much for Pine Manor. The Beacons led by 8 points from Ty Lee on 3 of 7 shooting, 7 more from Sam Freeman, who also has 4 rebounds. On the other side, 13 from Curtis Hyman. He scored 12 in about the first 5 minutes. But then 9 from Tank Roberson, 8 from Ellis Reed, and no one else on the team has any points except for Josh Gauss.
A player to kind of watch right now when we talked about Rosario and how much of a part of the offense he really is, hasn't had any points so far.
The 6 assists, though, do look pretty nice. He's been a pass-first point guard here in the first half, although we did have a couple of looks, 0 for 4, including 0 for 1 from distance.
And I did want to challenge your point on I talked to our co-host, actually our producer over there, Anthony Searles, before the game, that I think that Ty Lee should be the player to watch. And you see it so far, 8 points, playing great offense, and really facilitating the offense very well.
Well, you're allowed to have your point as well. We'll move along in our halftime show right now and take a look at the highlights from that first half. We'll analyze these for you. UMass Boston got off to a slow start. There's no doubt about that, but it was their transition game that helped them out a little bit. So we're going to take a look at the highlights first. It's a 3-pointer from Pine Manor. They hit 3 in a row to start the game. This is one of Hyman's 2 threes. And it's scary when a guy's that tall, 6'6", and can still knock him down. But the transition got the Beacons going. Kirksey leading the break for Powers. And Powers, an acrobatic finish. We've seen the Beacons have to make a couple of those where their shots are being altered, but they're still ending up in the bottom of the rim there.
Yeah, and you see another deep 3. They aren't afraid to shoot the deep 3. That is Pine Manor College.
Another dunk, this time from Pine Manor. The Beacons answered with 2 later on. That one from Josh Gauss just off the bench. Here's Pine Manor getting swatted away by Sam Freeman.
Sam Freeman, the leading blocks for the Beacons.
That's the first of Sinelli's highlight reel plays. First, the finish around Reed, and then here, in transition with Ty Lee, shoos him away. Sinelli all the way in the right-hand slam. That's as good as it's gotten thus far for UMass Boston here at home. And Freeman right after him, back-to-back dunk, something we haven't seen at home all season.
Yeah, we haven't seen that, and it's been, obviously, it energized the crowd and energized the Beacons as they went on a little bit of a run there. But you have to see, Coach Harris talked about it, they can't play at this pace all game, even though this is a slower pace for Pine Manor College.
Right now we're going to take a look at the highlights from last night's women's basketball game. UMass Boston fell 83-59 to number 23 Bowdoin College. Then we'll take a look around the rest of the conference and Beaconville right here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Seth Orensky joined by Steve Witkowski. 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go before the start of half number 2. Steve will take a look right now around the rest of Beaconville. We saw the women's basketball team lose yesterday, but the women's hockey team got a nice victory in non-conference play, and men's hockey back after a long road trip.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting week in Beaconville, obviously, this weekend. Both hockey teams are playing. The men's team is actually having their senior night against Norwich University, who's number 1 in the country, and it's a must-win. It really is for the Beacons team.
We'll take a look right now around the rest of the conference. Only one other game going on tonight. Most of the teams in the conference on the men's side played yesterday. Western Connecticut State is beating up on Connecticut College 54-32. Before we head to a commercial break, we'll take a look ahead for UMass Boston men's basketball. The Beacons on the road. But you see those 3 games, Steve. Those are the 3 teams who are tied with them or below them in the conference standings. After playing the top 3 teams, this is a chance for the Beacons to get a little bit of momentum and get some wins to push back up the Little East Conference standings.
Well, I mean, with a game tonight that's so offensive, it could really give them a boost. Obviously, they've been playing well so far. They got to play great in the second half to get that W. But if they do get that W tonight, I could see them going on a little bit of a roll. Obviously, Rhode Island College at Rhode Island College. That's going to be a tough game. But they have Southern Maine and Plymouth State here. Those are 3 huge conference games that they really need to win.
That game on the 11th is senior day for the men's and women's team, the last home game of the year. Right now, we'll take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with the start of half number 2.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there's a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters.
We're sisters.
I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman and you take classes.
Pine Manor will start with the ball to start half number 2, going from left to right. It's Rosario out there with Hyman and his 3 fouls. Rosario gets the hand check call before he made contact with Freeman. Rosario, Hyman, Reed, Roberson, and Bell, the starting 5 back in there to start the second half for UMass Boston. Barnes, Kirksey, Freeman, Lee, and Powers. A little bit of a change from the first half as Rosario misses the first. Still scoreless for the sophomore guard out of Lynn, Mass, who averages 10.1 points per game. Doesn't hit the second one either, so scoreless first possession. Barnes turns it over, had Freeman and Kirksey, couldn't make up his mind, and Rosario with the steal ahead for Bell. Dished it off for Roberson, a chance to tie it. A little bit off the mark, though. Long rebound comes out to Lee. 2-on-1. He's got Kirksey to his left. Lee looking for double digits. He's got it. 10 early points for Ty Lee, and the Beacons lead is 38-33.
And he's really been assertive, taking it to the rack so far, and you can see him not really looking to pass on that one.
Bell finds Reed, rejected by Freeman. Beacons running. Barnes with Rosario underneath. He's blocked.
And you can see Icer Barnes usually uses his body when he's down low and is dominated by height in that situation. And Rosario gets his first basket of the game.
A back and forth first minute of the second half, exactly what we've seen all game long. The Beacons lead is 3 with 18:53 to play. Full court pressure in effect. Lee double team finds Powers, and the Beacons will set up with 15. Powers up top, throws it right to Rosario. 2-on-1 chance. Rosario for Roberson. They're going to call the foul on Lee.
It'll be interesting to see if it's with 2 on the line or was it in transition.
They're going to call it shooting. My question is, was Ty Lee yelling at the referee there, or was he yelling at one of his teammates for that pass? Looked pretty clean from up here, but certainly the referee had a better angle down low as Roberson's too strong. This has been a slow start from the line. 0 for 3 for Pine Manor after a 6 of 8 start to the game. Roberson shoots just 63% from the free throw line, averages 17.2 shots. Powers knocks it out of bounds. The Beacons' second or third time today, a lack of communication has led to Pine Manor getting the ball back.
And the second or third turnover this half. You talked to Coach Harris. He said he wanted to kind of slow the game down and obviously diminish the turnovers. Obviously, you can't diminish them, but kind of lessen them. But that really hasn't happened so far in this half.
McGrath replaces Powers, who had that ball go out of bounds, and Pine Manor gives it right back. Rosario dribbling out of bounds along the baseline. Hasn't been the cleanest of starts to the half, but the Beacons content to still hold on to this 3-point lead. Freeman trying to find Kirksey, well out of bounds, right into the hands of the referee. And these two teams right now are playing hot potato. Neither side really wants to hold on to the basketball.
Yeah, Coach Harris looks baffled as to what has really happened in these 2 minutes. The Beacons really don't start off too hot, but they got to start getting hot with a very good Gator offense.
Rosario through Sanchez, draws the foul. He'll head to the line for 2. Sanchez just giving up a ton of size, and Rosario going downhill. Steve, going back to that last play, though, the Beacons had a 2-on-1. Freeman and Kirksey in the front court. Not sure who the defender back was, but with Sam Freeman playing the way he's played this year with his arsenal of moves, you want your best player taking that ball to the hoop no matter who he's with.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was unselfish there. Kirksey was wide open, but Sam Freeman obviously having the moves that he does and having the body that he does, he should have took it to the hoop there.
Rosario knocks down the second. Pine Manor now 1 of 6 from the free throw line. They've already drawn 3 fouls against the Beacons in the first 2 minutes of the second half. Kirksey all the way, the finger roll, and the Beacons on the board here in the second half. Rosario looking to go all the way, dribbles underneath. That's a la Steve Nash. Trying to find Reed there, couldn't make the catch. Uses the long reach to get it back to Rosario with 16.
And Rosario with a wide open 3, passes it up, has 2 points so far.
Bell down low, finds Reed on the second effort, and Ellis Reed able to finish. 2-point Beacons lead, 17.5 minutes to go. Kirksey through the double team, out top for Lee. The Beacons not had a ton of issues breaking this full court pressure. Lee with 15 has Freeman for a screen out top if he wants him. Lee the floater, way too strong. Reed the rebound. Rosario out ahead looking for Roberson, and McGrath couldn't quite handle the steal, but got over in time to cut down the fast break opportunity.
They really haven't had trouble breaking the press so far, but they have had a problem really turning the ball over in the backcourt.
Rosario calling out instructions, 17:05 to go. Rosario throws it away for Lee. Lee running one-on-one with Roberson. Lee underneath, off the glass. He's got 12. The Beacons lead is 42-38. Hyman, 12 points early on, 13 total. Reed, the alley-oop from Rosario. Ellis Reed is feasting down low.
And you can see before the game, a lot of these guys were throwing it down with conviction. You had to know that there was going to be dunks in this contest tonight.
Ellis Reed stands at 6'9", and anytime you get the alley-oop, it takes the big man away from the play, looking for the possible rejection on the initial shot. Beacons have 2 guys waiting at the scorer's table, 10 on the shot clock. Sanchez gets it over to Lee, needs to go to work. He's got 5, doesn't like to shoot the 3, gives it over for Kirksey, gets a player up in the air. Hyman's 4th, and Kareem Kirksey will be shooting 3 on the very savvy move from Kareem Kirksey.
Hyman's 4th, and we talked about in the first half that you might not see him till about 12, 13 minutes in the game, left in the game, but it's a little early and he picks up his 4th. That's huge for a Beacons fan.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that last play if we have it in the middle of these free throws. Kirksey getting Hyman up in the air and then going into him. Kirksey will shoot 3, knocks down the first. The MCLA transfer has been a huge addition to this year's team. Senior out of Dorchester, averaging 8.7 points, 4.2 rebounds per game, shoots over 40% and over 30% from distance.
And he's done a great job really breaking that pass and really being another ball handler that the Beacons can have tonight.
Kirksey knocks down the first 2. We'll see Powers and Barnes check in for Lee and Freeman with the media timeout upcoming. It's 16-16 to go in the half. Chance to get Sam Freeman and Ty Lee a little bit of rest. So the Beacons hope they'll get a stoppage just underneath the 16-minute mark. Kirksey 3 for 3 from the line. The Beacons lead is 45-40. Pine Manor will keep the starters out there with the exception of Josh Gauss into the game for Rasheed Bell. Rosario has the ball go off the foot of McGrath, but I think we're going to foul on Sanchez first. It'll be the 3rd on Alex Sanchez, first Beacon with more than 2 fouls. That's already 4 on the Beacons in a half. See Jason Sinelli check in for Sanchez. I don't mean that Barnes should be the primary ball handler with 16:02 to go in regulation. Roberson inbounds underneath the Beacons basket, finds Rosario looking to drive. No one's there, and he easily finishes with the left hand. Full court press in effect. Barnes ahead for Powers, looking for Kirksey, and it's out of bounds off Kirksey. Beacons turn it over once again. We'll get a media timeout. The Beacons lead is 3 with 15:50 to go in regulation.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
UMass Boston's lead is 45-42. This is the fourth game of their four-game homestand. The Beacons currently 5-5 at home. They started 5-1. It's been a difficult homestand, a difficult January for the Beacons, 3-6. But, Steve, keep talking about this favorable schedule. This would be a huge win for the Beacons against a team that's 13-6. They've won 7 of 9 games in the month. But the Beacons showing that once again, they can compete with pretty much every team. They've only been blown out 3 times thus far in their 9 losses.
Sorry, a little technical difficulties there. My mic was off, but Coach Harris, a great coach. He's going to keep the Beacons in every single game. They have enough talent where they can play with anyone and they can drop some schemes to really play with everyone, but they have to do a better job on ball handling and ball control.
Pine Manor led by 10 in the early going, 18-8. The Beacons have led by as many as 7. Their lead has been about anywhere from 2 to 5 for this half. Rosario from NBA distance off the mark. Barnes tracks down the long rebound.
And it'll be interesting to see what the Beacons do with Reed back on the floor and much smaller lineup without Sam Freeman on the floor.
UMass Boston stays with the same 5. Powers is called for shuffling the feet. Wonder how long they'll stay there, but you want to keep Freeman rested. You have that big conference game on Saturday. And, Steve, as you mentioned, every game matters the same amount to Pine Manor. For UMass Boston, as much as this game does matter, you also have to think about your conference games, which count twice as much. Rosario looking for Gauss down low, working on the smaller Kirksey. And now we're going to get a foul on Kirksey from the far official.
Yeah, it looked like Kirksey couldn't really handle the presence of him down low and kind of had to use his arms a little bit to kind of defend him.
Well, that's a tough cover there for Kirksey, who's plays the 2 or the 3. Right now playing the 4 for UMass Boston against Gauss, who's listed as a center out there with Reed, another center. Roberson drains it from right in front of his own bench, tied up at 45. And the Beacons, sensing that mismatch, are going to bring Freeman back out on the floor. Chancey Williams in for Rosario for Pine Manor. All even at 45 with 15 minutes to go. Powers working on Reed. Couldn't handle it. Powers to the floor, fighting against 3 players, trying to get it to Sinelli. Finally, we're going to get a tie-up, and it'll stay with the Beacons. Dan Powers today, Steve, just does not seem like his normal self. Played a ton of minutes these last couple of games. Just 4 points, 4 rebounds in the first half. He's had a couple of uncharacteristic missteps today, and he'll check out with Alex Sanchez back in.
Yeah, he really hasn't gotten involved in this offense. Obviously, he's still the hard-nosed defense that he really has played all year, but obviously hasn't had a presence in this game tonight.
Sanchez and Freeman back out there. Barnes and Powers to the bench. Freeman just barely beats the shot clock, but is off the mark. And we're going to get an offensive foul on Chancey Williams for a push-off there. He's trying to free himself up in the corner for an open 3.
And Dason Sinelli back in the game. He looked a little injured, obviously, in the beginning of the first half. He looked like he hurt his hip a little bit. It's good to see that he's back in the game.
Second on Williams, just the second on Pine Manor. The Beacons have been whistled 5 times in the half. Barnes going around Reed, draws the contact. He'll head to the line, and that's the Iser Barnes that the Beacons need to see.
Yeah, the Beacons need Iser Barnes that can really give a spark to their offense and get something going for the Beacons.
It's the 3rd on Reed, so 3 on Reed and 4 on Hyman, who's been sitting ever since being called for a foul earlier on in the half. Barnes knocks down the first. Reed will head to the bench. Makai Hunter on, but that means that Gauss is the only big man right now for Pine Manor, and that's a huge plus for the Beacons, who have their own big man, Sam Freeman, out there to work against Gauss, who's only an inch or 2 taller than Sam.
And you can see that Freeman really took advantage when Reed and the other big men really weren't on the court for Pine Manor.
Roberson had to readjust the mask, gets it right back. Down low for Gauss, working on Freeman. The step back, well off the mark, airballed it in fact. Sanchez working in transition, has Barnes to his right, finds it with the right hand. Barnes finishes, and the Beacons, after having the game tied up at 45 on a 4-0 run, 49-45. Hunter almost lost it up top for Gauss, needs help. Gauss Down low for Bell, who's been pretty quiet for the East Boston native. A bit of a homecoming for him, though we're not quite in East Boston, as close as you can get. That foul will come on Lee. A bit of a hand check on Tavon Bennett. Roberson dishes it down low. Perfect pass. And Gauss knocks it down with a two-hand slam. Lee and Sanchez exchange passes back and forth. Ahead for Barnes, met immediately by Bell. Barnes gets around him for Sinelli over a player, but we're going to get a foul coming on Chancey Williams, despite the emphatic block from Gauss. The Beacons calling for a goaltend.
And you can see the athleticism in both teams in the last couple of minutes. Obviously, the dunk and obviously the block shot, well, a little bit of foul, but both very athletic teams and enjoyable to watch, to say the least.
Rich Fozzie looking down his bench. That's 3 now on Williams, 3 on Reed, and 4 on Hyman. Williams, the 6th man on this Pine Manor team. The referees met, discussed it. They're not going to give the Beacons the goaltend on the block from Gauss, so Sinelli will have to earn it the hard way. Hyman's going to head back to the scorer's table and come in with 13:02 to go and 4 fouls.
And we talked about how deep Newberry College's bench was, but they really just don't utilize all of the bench. And you see Hyman coming onto the floor right now with 13 minutes left and 4 fouls.
Sinelli, not the greatest of free throw shooters, 17 of 27 coming in. He goes 0 for 2. Pine Manor, you look up and down their roster, they have a lot of guys who have played in almost every game. And then, as you mentioned, the back end of the bench have 4 or 5 guys who have played 40 minutes or less this season. Hyman looking to get aggressive with those 4 fouls. Bell from distance off the side, and it's Lee coming up with the rebound. Lee over for Sanchez. The Beacons had a couple players forward, and it's Barnes getting rejected by Gauss. This time it'll count. Coming up with it is Williams, just leaving it out, and Roberson wins the foot race. Down by 2, Pine Manor has a chance to tie or take the lead. Double dribble coming from Chancey Williams. That'll send Rosario back in as Pine Manor's gotten a little sloppy. Dan Powers will check in for Sinelli. Both teams hoping to spark 2 of their better players.
And 2 of their better players, Roberson, obviously with the face mask tonight. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously he's having a great game in double digits, but he usually averages 20 points, and the offense really runs through him. It really hasn't done that tonight. You got to wonder if that's because of his face mask.
Powers downhill. Looked like he caught Hyman in the face. Fozzie can't believe it. They're going to call a stoppage because Hyman was hit in the face and clearly was in a bit of pain. The referee's going to talk it over. The question comes, was that a flagrant? Was that a personal foul? They didn't call it initially, so they have no video, and we'll see if we can bring that to you.
Well, the Pine Manor College obviously is initiating that was a flagrant, but it looked a little incidental, obviously.
Well, the issue here is, at the Division I level, you could go to the scorer's table and watch the replay. We're the only people who have the replay, and even from this angle, it's not going to be the easiest, but we'll show it to you as the referees continue to discuss down low in front of us. You see Powers going in. The contact is after the shot, but it looks like it's all part of the normal shooting motion. We'll see if we can show you that one more time, but I didn't see anything flagrant on that particular.
Yeah, I mean, Powers is such a physical guy that really drives to the rack with authority, so I wouldn't say it's a flagrant by any means in talking the way Powers really plays the game.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he extended the elbow on purpose, which is what you're looking for. Anytime you see an elbow, is it within the normal constraint of the play, or was he purposely extending it, trying to cause a little bit of physicality, or unnecessarily extending it? It'll go back to Pine Manor. It was Pine Manor's rebound to begin with. They have a chance to tie it or potentially take the lead here. Rosario, with 18 on the shot clock, up top, finds Tavon Bennett. Back for Rosario, and thrown out of bounds. Rosario and Roberson miscommunication. It'll force a media timeout. 11:49 to play. One of these teams likes to play in the 90s. One likes to play in the 80s. We could be playing a game in the 60s or low 70s today. We'll see which team that benefits after this media break.
separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school, but every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
.11:49 remaining in regulation. UMass Boston leading 49-47. And Steve, I think both coaches would admit this has been a pretty sloppy start to the second half. If you're UMass Boston, what are you looking to do to spark your offense a little bit?
Well, I think obviously Iser Barnes has been a spark plug for them all season. When they're down and out and they need points, Iser Barnes has been that offensive guy that's kind of ran the floor and taken to the rack very aggressively. So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of takes initiative or if it's another player. Maybe Dan Powers has been silent tonight.
Sanchez, Powers, Freeman, Kirksey, and Lee, the Beacons starting five out there right now. Freeman from the three-point line needs some help, gives it off to Sanchez. Couldn't quite make the catch. 13 on the clock. The Beacons working against this man-to-man defense. Haven't really created anything yet. Lee, the pull-up, takes the four-footer, can't finish, flat-footed. Freeman draws contact, no foul. Long rebound, kept alive by Kirksey. Finds Powers, the Beacons with a new 30. Lee, over two players. Freeman, the offensive rebound. Should almost just give Ty Lee the assist on that play.
Yeah, I mean, contact was an understatement. It looked like he got hacked down low. No call with the putback, Sam Freeman.
Hyman showing the nice touch that got him 12 points in the early going. I believe he's only up to 15 after that hot start. Playing with 4 fouls here ever since the 13:02 mark, and now Reed's going to check back in with 3. Bell, the other starter who was on the bench, checking in as well. Freeman going to work on Gauss, looking to turn. The righty hook shot is no good. Powers the rebound, has it stripped, looking to go up amongst the trees. He's blocked. Kirksey over to Sanchez. The Beacons claiming that that ball hit the rim. Pine Manor saying it never hit the rim. If Pine Manor's correct, there should be about 8 to 9 seconds on the shot clock. Otherwise, there should be 28. And it looks like they're going to agree with the Beacons. It will allow Pine Manor to get 3 subs in. Hyman's going to check out with those 4 fouls. As will Josh Gauss. Not sure who the third player who just checked back in. For Pine Manor, it's the starting 5 with the exception of Tavon Bennett in there for Curtis Hyman with those 4 fouls.
Yeah, Hyman started off very hot, but obviously has been a nuisance as of late.
Lee with the screen option from Powers. Lee's been very good offensively today. Kirksey, the ball fake, didn't get a lot of room around Bennett. Up top for Sanchez with 10. Sanchez looking to go to work, draws contact. Roberson not happy with it. He's going to be issued the personal foul, and all of a sudden, Steve, it was 4-0 in the early going. The team fouls are now 6 for UMass Boston, 5 on Pine Manor after the first foul on Roberson.
And that just brings it back to free throws at the end of the game. I mean, we have 10 minutes left, Seth. My bad, a little stumbling on the words tonight. But we have 10 minutes left, Seth, and free throws are definitely going to be an intricate part in who wins this ball game.
Pine Manor has struggled from the free throw line here in the second half, 1 of 6. Sanchez 1 of 2 there. Beacons have missed a couple of their own. 3-point lead for the Beacons, 52-49, 10-10 to play. Bell, a lot of dribbling, only to give it up for Rosario. To the far side, that was Bennett who had the 3 open. Rosario over Sanchez, who was looking for the charge. Rebound loose, Powers couldn't grab it. Rosario, another rebound. It's the 3rd or 4th time the Beacons have given it up. Reed from distance looking for the lead. No good after the Beacons turn it over on the inbound.
Rosario with a little behind the back pass right there. A little bit fancy, but obviously the Beacons just have to stop turning the ball over.
Rosario, the sophomore guard out of Lynn, had 6 assists in the first half. Kirksey from in front of his own bench, rims it in and out on the 3. Lee for Powers, loses it once again. Dan Powers has just had a case of the sticky fingers. And the ball is going to be a jump ball back to the Beacons, but how many times today have we seen Dan Powers just have the ball come straight out?
Not sticky fingers. I'd go with greasy or butter fingers. I wouldn't go sticky.
Yeah, sticky might be the exact Maybe butter.
Butter. I like that. I can't believe it's not butter. How about that?
Bennett's going to check out. Hyman back in there, starting 5 for Pine Manor. And we're going to get a Pine Manor ball as they never reset the arrow. So it's Pine Manor ball down by just a single point. They have not led in this half. Powers almost had the steal. Bell near side. Rosario passes up on the 3, and he's going to be called for the travel.
And you've seen that twice or 3 times tonight. Rosario has really passed up that open 3-point shot. You got to wonder if he's a little mental. Hasn't made a 3-pointer tonight. Hasn't been really good offensively.
Well, 6 for 33 on the season. You have to think that Jason Harris wants him to shoot that. Rosario forces the turnover down low for Bell, and Pine Manor leads 53-52. Under 9 minutes to play, the first lead of the second half for Pine Manor, and first lead in quite a while. Beacons trying to break the press. Powers can't make the catch. Rosario out ahead, 3-on-2. Bell's got 4 in a row. It's 55-52, and the Beacons call timeout. We'll take a timeout along with them. Pine Manor on a mini run. UMass Boston finds themselves down for the first time in a while.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there is a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters.
We're sisters.
I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman, and you take classes with them, you do study groups with them. So it was really helpful getting to know people in your major right away.
So in health exercise sciences, we have an internship at the end, so it's so much better to have like an advisor helping you out, like telling you which classes to choose.
(55-52), Pine Manor immediately out of the huddle. UMass Boston, they're going to stick with 4 of the same 5. Maurice McGrath is going to check on actually along with Iser Barnes. But Steve, this has been the Beacons causing their own kinds of problems rather than Pine Manor doing anything specific.
Yeah, I mean, the Beacons really let Pine Manor back into this game. A turnover-plagued game for the Beacons that really has given Pine Manor a lot of transition points and a lot of easy transition points.
Sanchez is being given a little bit more room than we're used to seeing. Met right at half court by the double team. Gets it across. Sanchez, Barnes, Powers, Freeman, and McGrath, who've seen more run time in this game than we've seen all season long. Join the team second semester. Freeman, the baseline jumper over Reed to stop the bleeding. 55-54 in favor of the visitors with 8:17 left.
And you have to wonder if this Beacons offense is really going to attack Hyman down low, obviously with 4 fouls and such a good offensive guy for the Gators.
Roberson leaves it short. Powers for Freeman once again. Double team comes, and one opportunity. This could be the 4th on Reed or the 5th on Hyman. Either way, not good for the visitors.
And it looks like they called it on Reed right as we talked about it. It looks like they're trying to attack down low, which Hyman obviously is a big presence for the Gators.
Well, your player to watch was Ty Lee. My player to watch was Sam Freeman. And in the end, it could be the 2 former New Mission High School products helping the Beacons snap this long losing streak. Freeman to the line for a chance to extend the lead to 57-55.
Yeah, Ty Lee really picking up Dan Powers' scoring tonight. Obviously, Dan Powers struggling a little bit offensively, but Ty Lee really picking that up.
Had 10.7 rebounds and 5 assists against Keene State on Saturday. Lee, the first player into double digits for the Beacons today. Had 12 early on. Powers is stripped out of bounds. Powers dribbling a little bit too much. And you see a couple times today he's had words with Jason Harris after a decision, and he's going to head to the bench. Cooler heads will prevail. Immediate timeout is back. The Beacons answering a Pine Manor run with 5 straight of their own, and we'll take a stop at UMass Boston with a 2-point lead.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, so and UMass helped me.
57-55, UMass Boston leads, 7:44 to play. The possession arrow with the Beacons. Both teams with 6 fouls, so we could be seeing quite a few free throws the rest of the way. The next foul on either side will lead to the 1-and-1. The Beacons come out with Freeman, Barnes, McGrath, Powers, and Sanchez. On the other side, it's Rosario, Hyman, Bell, Gauss back into the game alongside Roberson. So Hyman stays out with the 4 fouls, but they're going to leave Reed on the bench with his 4.
And he's had 4 fouls since 16 minutes, playing very well and very cautious.
Freeman over Gauss. He's got 7 in a row. The Beacons have 7 in a row, and it's a 59-55 lead.
And Gallus on Freeman, I think that's a mismatch. Obviously, Freeman taking advantage.
Gauss, the answer off the glass. I don't know if the sophomore was too appreciative of those comments, Steve. Josh came in averaging 7.9 points per game. Sanchez able to dribble through 2 players. Thought he lost it. Came right back up with it. So all those hours of practice in the gym, somehow able to maintain it like a yo-yo.
Well, you know, my co-host, Alex Barth, has really taught me that sometimes the broadcaster's jinx does happen.
McGrath well short on that one. Roberson able to find Rosario, but first we've got a blocking foul on Sanchez, and that might be a best case scenario for the Beacons. It was Rosario looking at a wide open layup. Instead, Sanchez picks up his 4th, and it'll lead to the 1-and-1 for Rosario, or for Roberson rather. That'll force a pair of substitutions from the Beacons. Sanchez and McGrath to the bench. Kirksey and Lee back in there.
1-and-1 for Roberson, even though we talked about how dynamic of a player he really is and dynamic of a scorer, he struggles on the free throw line, and he hits his first.
Missed his first 2 today from the free throw line. Coming in, just a 63% free throw shooter. Normally you expect the guards to be the great free throw shooters, the bigs to be the poor ones. Rosario and Roberson both shoot 65% or less. It's the bigs who are all shooting between 70 and 82% on the year. Lee ahead for Powers. Down low for Freeman. Has had the hot hand. 7 points. Loses it, but Gauss is called for the reach-in. Freeman's the line for the 1-and-1. Both teams now in the single bonus. Freeman has had a great game for UMass Boston, especially as of late. He's got 7 of his 16, a team-high 16 over the past couple minutes. Give him 17. 5 of 6 from the free throw line. See, the Beacons are now 16 of 22, 72%. Pine Manor on the other side, 9 of 16, 56%. It's nice to see the Beacons not being the team that's struggling from the line, as, of course, Freeman missed the second.
Well, I mean, when you mention it right now, but this is the crucial time where they've been struggling. So I know that they're 70% from the line, but it'd be interesting to see how they do in these last 6 minutes. That'll predict how they shot today.
Rosario runs through Freeman, but they get Sam for the block. He was hoping for the charge. Just the first on Freeman. It's got to be the longest into a game. Sam has not been called for a foul all season long. And Rosario, another guy who struggles from the free throw line. We've seen him miss 4 already in this half. Misses his 5th straight. Eric on the game is now 1 of 5. Does have 9 assists, but 0 points. Finally hits one, so he's got 1 point and 9 assists. That's one of the stranger stat lines of the year. Lee loses the dribble, able to get it over for Barnes. 3 seconds to get it across, and Lee gets there in time. Powers for Kirksey, met by 2 players. Bell the contact from behind. Might have gotten a piece of it. 60-all, chance for Pine Manor to take the lead. Rosario's got 3 in a row, and it's 62-60 in favor of the Gators.
And this pace is really starting to quicken up, and I don't know if that's what the Beacons really want.
Barnes pulls it out for Freeman, who can hit from that distance, but he's not looking for his own shot. Fozzie is on the floor right now, screaming out defensive instructions. Kirksey loses it to Rosario, has Roberson all alone, the left-hand lay-in, and it's a 5-0 run for Pine Manor, forcing the Beacons timeout. These two teams have been going 5-0, 7-0, 5-0, 7-0 the last 3-4 minutes.
And the only reason for the 5-0, 7-0 run is turnovers. Another couple turnovers that has led to the Gators' easy lay-ins.
take a timeout along with the teams. 5:44 left. Pine Manor with their largest lead of the half, 64-60.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
.50 run for Pine Manor to take a 64-60 lead. The Gators looking for their 14th win of the season, 13-6 coming into this one. The Beacons 10-9. They've lost 5 in a row. Steve, 5:44 left in a game the Beacons at points have looked like they were going to run away with, or at least control. How do you turn the tide?
I mean, I've said it a million times. I've said it a lot in these last couple games. They got to limit the turnovers and be almost 100% from the free throw line.
See if the Beacons can shoot a higher level from the free throw line. 2 of 5 on Saturday in a game that they were leading in the final 5 minutes against Keene State. Powers across for Lees. The Beacons have struggled to get it across a little bit more over these past couple possessions. Lee nearly lost it. Kicks it over for Sinelli back into the game. He can't finish. Freeman's tap is off the mark, and we've got a tie-up. It'll stay with the Beacons. 5:24 left, new 30 on the clock.
And interesting on the fact that Dan Powers was bringing the ball up, even though Alex Sanchez was wide open on the side.
Freeman looking to get around Gauss. Instead, he turns it over. Rosario, the quick hands. Rosario dribbles through a double team. Down low for Bell, working on Sinelli. Brings it out. Still a ton of time on the shot clock. Hyman is called for the travel away from the play. And the Beacons will get it back with 5:10 left. Full court pressure in effect. 2 guys guarding Sanchez. Lee back in there. Powers in the backcourt. Sanchez wins the foot race. Finds Sinelli around Gauss. Can't finish, but he'll head to the line for a pair of free throws. That's the 8th team foul on Pine Manor. 8 on both sides with 5:04 left.
And free throws within the last 5 minutes. We'll see how the Beacons really do on the stripe.
That's now 3 on Gauss. He becomes the 4th player on Pine Manor with 3 or more fouls. 4 on Reed, 4 on Hyman, 3 on Williams, and 3 on Gauss. Sinelli 1 of 2 today. Knocks down the first. He's now 19 for 30 on the season. Reed will check in for Gauss, who's played very well off the bench for Pine Manor with Hyman and Reed in foul trouble. Sinelli a chance to cut the deficit to 2. The Boston Mass native looked good on both of those. Pine Manor will bring in Tavon Bennett at the next whistle, the freshman or the junior guard out of Orange, New Jersey. Rosario's trying to get confident. Hyman the putback over the smaller Lee. Lee back up to 4.
And Hyman still lingering in the game with 4 fouls.
He's been in and out of the game since the 13-minute mark. Coach has a lot of confidence in him despite those fouls. One of the 3 returning players from that first year who have stuck it out through 3 years. Sanchez swatted by Reed. Hyman couldn't catch the rebound, and the Beacons will keep it with 9 on the shot clock.
A small height difference there. Obviously, Alex Sanchez at 5'5", trying to drive the lane with Reed at 6'9".
Lee for Powers working on the smaller Bell. Rebound loose, never hit the rim. It was going to be Pine Manor's ball either way there in a matter of seconds. Roberson in transition from distance. Perfect marksmanship there, and the lead is 7, the largest it's been in over 25 minutes. Sinelli working on Reed, draws the contact. That's 5 on Ellis. A huge foul, but Pine Manor can keep going to the bench with that side.
And with the Beacons, the last couple of possessions, they really haven't gotten a quality shot. You see Dan Powers kind of throwing it off the backboard a little bit acrobatically. Obviously, he has made a couple of those so far this season, but not the shot you're looking for when you're down 7 points with 4 minutes to go.
Reed didn't recognize that was his 5th foul. Gauss will check back in for him. He's got 3 thus far. Hyman on the bench right now with 4 fouls. They've been trying to sub him in and out to avoid that 5th foul. Sinelli just went 2 for 2. Catches the front of the rim and it falls. So the Beacons have hit 3 consecutive free throws late. Their deficit still is 6. Plenty of time left though, Steve. 4:07. And if the Beacons can continue to be aggressive, they could really cause some trouble with fouls. That free throw off the mark. And it's out of bounds off of Kirksey. The Beacons can't believe it. Steve, it looks like he tried to knock it off the shoulder.
Yeah, and it looked like the ref was a little indecisive and just ended up pointing the other way.
And sometimes that's a matter of Kirksey could have been called for the foul, and instead of giving a foul in a situation like that, you just give the ball the other way. Referees probably won't admit that, but that's what it seems like to me. Up top for Bell from straight away. Back-to-back triples from the Gators. The lead is 9.
And you see the Gators offense that scores 90 points a game starting to heat up. Scary as a Beacons fan.
Sinelli drives on Gauss. He's been red hot. That's 4 on Gauss. Dayson will head to the line for 2 more.
And Dayson has really done that the last couple of times, but the Beacons need to get more points than just going 1 from 2 for the line.
That'll bring us to our final media timeout. UMass Boston finds themselves in a big hole, 72-63. Pine Manor. Do the Beacons have a comeback in them?
Come on, Jake.
As usual, she wins it. A chance in front. Her shot is in the net. Crystal elated. Yet another goal.
Please make a gift to the Beacon Athletic Fund today. We want you on our team.
Free throw shooting has not been the Beacons' Achilles heel today. The Beacons 19 of 27, 70.4%. Pine Manor just 10 of 18, 55.6%. And yet, Steve, the turnovers, talked about them in the first half. 11 in the first half, 23 now for the game. Pine Manor has 16 points off Beacons' turnovers. This Beacons team needs points, and they need them in a hurry against the Pine Manor team that has started scoring at a higher rate.
Well, they need them in a hurry, but they also need stops on defense, and the Gators just aren't letting that happen right now. You've seen it a couple 3-pointers in a row, and they haven't been near the line. They've been really deep. So how do you kind of go about defending that and getting stops?
Well, Pine Manor has shown they're willing to extend the 3-point line. They're 8 of 20 today from distance. The Beacons just 2 of 5. Those threes really the biggest separating factor today in terms of the team stats. Most of them are very even. Sinelli hits the first. He's now 4 of his last 5 for a guy who's not a premier free throw shooter, but he makes 5 of 6. The deficit is 7. Tons of time left, 3:43. Both teams went to overtime in their last game. Can the Beacons force an OT here? Ahead for Roberson, he'll take the 10-footer over Freeman, no good. The rebound from Gauss is tipped a bit too strong, and now the Beacons go to work.
And Sinelli just carrying this Beacons team right now, taking it to the lane and getting offensive and defensive rebounds.
Gauss has 4 fouls. Can the Beacons draw a 5th? Lee all the way to the tin, gets the finish. Gauss backing away. A little bit of a 4-0 run right now. The deficit is 72-67 as Curtis Hyman waits to check back in. Gauss up top for Rosario, not the guy you're worried about shooting the 3. Gauss working on Freeman, finds a wide open Rosario over Kirksey. The easy finish, 74-67 Gators.
Rosario with a strong lay-in for the Gators.
Yeah, he's gotten hot at the right time. Lee, the floater, perfectly done. Ty Lee going back to the 70s with that move. Rosario with it, his team up by 5. Bell looking for another triple. Too easy from the top of the key, and the lead back up to 8. The Beacons cut it down to 5, but the East Boston native, Rasheed Bell, making UMass Boston pay. We'll take a break, 77-69 Pine Manor, down to 2:41 to play in this one.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
Pine Manor providing some full court pressure. Curtis Hyman back in there with his 4 fouls. The Beacons will go with Sanchez, Lee, Kirksey, Sinelli, and Freeman. 3 freshmen and 2 seniors here, down by 8. Lee not moving quickly here with 15 on the shot clock, 2:26 to go. Lee near side for Sanchez from the wing, can't finish. Sinelli taps the rebound back out to Alex, not looking for the 3. His teammates were asking for it. Beacons really don't have a 3-point shooter out there except for Kirksey. Kirksey has to pull up, needs help, finds Lee with 16. Already 40 seconds have elapsed though on this possession with no points. Lee drives on Roberson, gets caught up in the air, and one. Somehow Lee able to finish.
I mean, if that isn't the player to watch tonight, I don't know who is. He looks great out on the floor. Obviously, a career game, coming off a career game. That was a huge basket for Ty Lee, my player of the game.
Just the second on Roberson, but the 10th on the team. Gauss will check back in. Pine Manor going bigger right now. Also remember, Gauss and Hyman, 2 of the better free throw shooters. You want to foul the small guys, not the big guys on Pine Manor. Lee, too strong on the free throw. 2 minutes exactly to go. It's a 2-possession game, 77-71 in favor of Pine Manor. Sinelli waiting to check back in. Powers and Barnes just checked in. Rosario off the mark, out of bounds, off Pine Manor.
And the ref looked confident with that call, pointing the other way with conviction.
Always like to see that. Kirksey will check out, Sinelli back in there. Sinelli's been the Beacons' best offensive player outside of Lee over the past couple minutes. Lee all the way to the 10, the up and under, and it's a 4-point game with 1:40 to play. The Beacons do not need to foul yet, but the next Beacons foul, unless it's a shooting foul, just a 1-and-1, could be interesting in the back of the mind there of Jason Harris. 20 on the shot clock. Roberson out wide for Rosario. He's going to take a rare 3. Too strong. Rebound loose. And Lee has it. It comes out of his hands. Out of bounds off of Josh Gauss. That one was a 50-50 call.
Yeah, that was an interesting call to say the least. I thought it went the other way, but I could be mistaken.
You saw Lee trying to grip it to his shoulder. Gauss tapped it out.
But Lee confidently didn't really go after the ball, which I think he kind of sold it to the ref.
Yeah, Ty Lee, a player who plays beyond his years, was the all-captain senior last year of New Mission High School. Freeman finishes over Gauss after Powers lost it into Freeman's hands. 2-point game now with 1 minute and 1 second to go. 77-75 in favor of Pine Manor. The scoreboard shows 77-73. Everyone else knows what's going on. 50 seconds to go. 15 seconds between shot clock and game clock. Roberson with Sanchez waiting about 6 feet away. The top scorer on Pine Manor. Down low for Gauss. Drives around Freeman. Off the glass and good. Huge basket for the sophomore Josh Gauss. Forces the Beacons timeout. 79-75 Pine Manor. 39.8 seconds to go, and we're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at, do you foul Gauss right there? I mean, a wide open lay-in. You can't let him get the 2 points right there. I'd rather send him to the line and make him earn the 2 points than just giving him a wide open lay-in.
It shows how confident Tank Roberson is in his teammates that he gave the ball up there. He's a guy who averages close to 20 points per game, 17 shots per game. That's a guy who's a high-volume scorer, and yet he gave it up to Gauss, who's just a sophomore, has started only 3 games this year. It's his first year with the team, but 7.9 points per game, a pretty high field goal percentage, and a huge basket for Gauss, who's played a lot more minutes than normal with all the foul trouble to the other bigs.
And another name to mention is Rashid Bell from East Boston, Massachusetts. He hasn't had a big three-pointer in a while, but he did knock down a couple that really separated Pine Manor from UMass Boston.
Yeah, back-to-back triples from the top of the key that pushed the lead out to 8 to 9 and then 8. The Beacons had cut it to 2. Not sure why UMass Boston, it must have been a Pine Manor timeout, otherwise the Beacons would have advanced it here. UMass Boston will go with Lee, Powers, Sanchez, Sinelli, and Freeman, with Barnes waiting to check in at the next whistle. For Pine Manor, it's Rosario, Bell, Roberson, Hyman, and Gauss, the guy who just scored. 35 seconds left. The Beacons need to pick up the tempo offensively. Freeman from the block over Gauss. Can't finish. Rebound in and out of the hands of Sinelli. Lee draws the rebound. The teardrop too strong. Gets his own rebound. Up again. Able to finish. 2-point game. 23.6 seconds left. Roberson's the guy you want to foul. Sinelli gives it. And this is a huge 1-and-1 upcoming. Tank Roberson, the second worst free throw shooter out on the floor. Rosario's the guy you really want to foul. He's been struggling from the free throw line. But Roberson on the season came in at just a 63% free throw shooter.
And this is their guy. I mean, he's a 1,000-point scorer. He's the guy that's kind of led this team. We'll see if he can knock down 2 here.
Little bit strong, the rebound loose. Powers has it. The Beacons have a chance to tie or take the lead. Lee looking to go all the way to the right hand. Finish. 15.7 seconds left. We're all tied at 79. Rosario will lead the charge. They're looking for the last shot. No timeout coming from Rich Fozzie. Roberson has it, working against Lee. Roberson drives, loses the dribble, Powers to the ground, held on. We're going to get a Beacons timeout with 1.3 seconds left, and the Beacons will have a chance to win it.
And the Clark Athletic Center is going absolutely nuts right now. A Beacons team that needs this win. They need something to kind of spark their season, and this could be it.
Cesar and McGrath both checking in. Those are 2 3-point shooters for the Beacons. The big question is, where is this inbound coming? If they allow the Beacons to advance the ball, which they should within a minute on a Beacons timeout, you see the Beacons fans up enjoying this comeback from the Beacons. They were trailing by as many as 9 with about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, Ty Lee, I'll say it once, I'll say it twice, I'll say it a third time. He is the man of the hour for the Beacons, taking it coast to coast, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
The Beacons are going to inbound underneath their own basket. You have 1.3 seconds left. You don't have a lot of dribbles. Look for Powers to throw a baseball pass down court, looking for Freeman. Freeman can't make the catch. We're going to overtime. Both of these teams heading to overtime for a second consecutive game. And Steve, this benefits the Beacons. For a rare time, it's the opponent who's in worse foul trouble than UMass Boston. We've already seen Reed foul out. Hyman's got 4. Gauss has 4. After that, we haven't seen a big for this Pine Manor team. If the Beacons keep this aggressiveness up, we could see a couple more guys foul out for Pine Manor down low.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. It's usually UMass Boston in the same situation that Pine Manor's in right now. But Pine Manor just played an overtime game. You mentioned it.
On Monday.
They're a press team. They like to run fast up and down. It'd be interesting to see, especially with only having 6-7 guys to go to, if fatigue really sets in and you could see the Beacons kind of take over this game in overtime.
For UMass Boston, Alex Sanchez has 4 fouls, but hasn't played as big of a part today as he normally does. 3 fouls for Dason Sinelli and Kareem Kirksey. On the other side, Ellis Reed fouled out, 4 on Hyman, 4 on Gauss, 3 on Chancey Williams. But we haven't seen Chancey this entire second half.
Yeah, and one player to really watch if you're the Beacons is Rasheed Bell. He's been hot and lethal behind the arc. He's really carried this Pine Manor offense. It'll be interesting to see if they kind of look to him for a couple 3-pointers in this overtime play.
Bell has 10 points. 6 of them came late in that half. Roberson is up to 19 points on 15 attempts. So the Beacons 24 from Ty Lee, 11 of 19 from the field, 19 more from Sam Freeman. Gauss wins the tip, and we're underway. Pine Manor going from left to right. Rosario looking for Gauss, gets double teamed up top for Roberson. Same 5 out there for Pine Manor. It's Bell working on Sinelli, needs help. Turnaround 2 off the mark. Hyman fighting for the rebound, wins the loose ball over Freeman, and Sam picks up his second. It's the 10th on the Beacons. 2 free throws coming for both teams the rest of the way.
And a huge offensive rebound for Hyman. Obviously, he's going to the line right now, but he has played extremely well and extremely cautious. Obviously, picking up that 4th foul with 16 minutes left. Knocks down the first, but has played really up to standards in these last 15 minutes.
That's his 18th point on just 11 field goal attempts, 6 of 11. He's 4 of 5 from the free throw line, make it 5 of 6. Ties Roberson for the team high with his 19 points. Hyman had 12 in the early going. He's dealt with foul trouble, but done a nice job to avoid that fourth foul. Down low, it's Freeman over Gauss, who has to give space. Rebound tapped out. Roberson, the long rebound. 81-79 in favor of Pine Manor. Sinelli working on the speedy Roberson. Rosario looking to go downhill, finds Gauss, and we've got a charge coming on Eric Rosario. Sam Freeman gives up the body, and it'll go back to the Beacons.
And the second time tonight, Sam has really done that. Just a senior leader, a senior guy that really just wants the Beacon to really win and break out of this streak.
That's the first on Rosario. Because it was an offensive foul, it doesn't lead to free throws. Powers looking to go downhill, finds Sinelli. Sinelli working on Hyman. Offensive foul the other way, and that's 4 on Dayson. So both teams commit offensive fouls. Still 4:03 to go in the extra session. Remember, both of these teams already probably dealing with a little of fatigue. UMass Boston went 45 minutes against Keene State on Saturday in an 85-80 loss. Plymouth State and Pine Manor College played to an OT game on Monday night.
And both teams not really taking their possessions really too seriously right now. I mean, 2 offensive fouls and a walk right there. 3 turnovers in the last 3 possessions.
Curtis Hyman called for that one. Sinelli heads to the bench. Barnes back out there for UMass Boston. 3:52 left. The only points thus far from Curtis Hyman on a pair of free throws. Powers thought about it, has not looked for his own shot today. It's normally lethal from straight away. Lee with 13 on the shot clock. Freeman working on Gauss, who has those 4 fouls. Barnes over to Sanchez with 6. Sanchez, the baseline jumper, short. Rebound loose. Powers tips it too far. Gauss strips away from the potential tie-up. And Pine Manor controls. 3:20 to go. 2-0 Pine Manor in the extra session. Roberson looking from distance. Long rebound. Lee's got another rebound. He's got to be close to a half dozen. Lee, who leads the Beacons with over 20 points, over to for Powers. Freeman working on Gauss. An easy reach-in call, and that's 5 on Josh Gauss.
Yeah, Josh Gauss has been playing great too. I mean, Sam Freeman, a tough body. We talked about it before. Such a tough guy to kind of defend down low. He's been playing him great. Obviously fouls out. It'll be interesting to see who they really go to guard Sam Freeman, especially with Hyman with 4 fouls.
You have Eric Pierre Lewis on the edge of the end of the bench, who's 6'6", the freshman out of Miami, but instead they'll go smaller. They'll bring in Tavon Bennett, the 6'2" junior college guard out of the Bronx. If UMass Boston can get the 5th foul on Hyman, this Pine Manor team's going to look really small. He's got 4. Barnes heads to the bench, Sinelli back out there. Freeman hits the first. He's got 18 now. Make it 19, and we're tied at 81.
And we talked about the significance of free throws. The Beacons have done a great job tonight. Gonna knock on wood.
Yeah, certainly we've been critical of the team when they're not shooting well. Have to turn it around and give them credit when they do. Roberson from deep, bit too strong, long rebound. Caroms out to Rosario, who pushed off the smaller Sanchez. A loose ball foul, and this will lead to 2 free throws for Alex Sanchez.
And Roberson really has been cold from behind the arc. I mean, he started off obviously with a couple threes in the first half, but has been cold as of late.
Second foul on Eric Rosario. Both teams have been in the bonus for a while now. Sanchez rattles in the first one. He's out there with 4 fouls, as is Curtis Hyman for Pine Manor. Beacons with their first lead in overtime. All the points thus far in overtime have come on free throws. Sanchez 1 of 2. The Beacons have hit 3 of 4. Pine Manor 2 of 2, and the Beacons lead 82-81. Rosario for Hyman from distance, hit too early, bit too strong there. Another offensive rebound, and Bell has it tapped out of bounds by Ty Lee. How many times have we seen Pine Manor come up with an offensive board off a loose ball tonight?
Yeah, I mean, they've been nothing short of 100% for hustle.
Bennett looking for help. He's forced to call the timeout, trying to avoid the 5-second call. 82-81, just about midway through this overtime session. UMass Boston looking to snap this 5-game slide. We'll be back after this commercial break.
What separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school, but every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
UMass Boston will bring out Sinelli, Sanchez, Lee, Powers, and Freeman on the other side for Pine Manor. It'll be Bennett, Roberson, Hyman, Bell, and Rosario. Bennett throws it right into the hands of Sinelli, who was out of bounds when he made the catch. Dason was already thinking about going the other way with 94 feet. The shot clock was reset, and now they're going to go over to the table and take a few seconds off. 28 seconds rather than 30, but every second counts, right, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, in this game, obviously, it's going to come down to the wire.
Ball goes out of the hands of Rosario. Sanchez running 1-on-2, draws contact, and it's going to be a block. That was a 50-50 call, the third on Roberson. And Sanchez, who hit 1 of 2 on the last possession to give the Beacons the lead, will head to the line for 2 more.
Yeah, one of the freshman guards going to the line right now. It'll be interesting to see if his maturity really shows right here in such a big position. Beacons obviously we got a spot on the floor that a man is going to come in and really sweep up right now.
It looks like we've got another Pittsfield grad out there.
Dominic Enda, one of the fastest men at this school, a track star and a great kid, to say the least.
Member of the UMass Boston track and field team that's back in action on Saturday at URI. Sanchez hits the first, 83-81. Make it 84-81. The Beacons have hit 5 of 6 here from the free throw line. All the points here in OT have come from the free throw line. Freeman takes another charge. Rosario goes right through the Beacons big man. 3 charges on the night drawn by UMass Boston center.
And if the Beacons really do win this game, one of the standing points for this Beacons team is the selflessness. And you can really see that tonight. Sam Freeman with 3 charging fouls and 2 in the last couple minutes.
And with that offensive foul, we're going to see Rosario, the team's point guard, head to the bench. Jarrell Francis back in. He's been sitting for close to 20 minutes. Barnes had the open 3, thinks better of it. The Beacons will set back up top. UMass Boston has done all of their damage today inside the paint. Lee all the way to the tin, can't quite finish. Hyman was there, and Powers comes in and strips it. They're going to call Powers for the foul. One of the refs was clearly motioning for a jump ball, but Dan came in with a bit of the body, and it'll lead to 2 free throws coming for, looks like Curtis Hyman, one of the better free throw shooters for Pine Manor. That's 3 on Powers.
Hasn't been Powers this day today, and that looked like the call could either really go both ways, but it went the other way.
Certainly, power, and that's a hustle play you really like to see out of Dan, though. Sensing Hyman wasn't aware, Hyman knocks down the first of 2.
And interesting to really see Icer Barnes pass up the wide open 3. You got to think that Coach Harris is really preaching no 3 balls in this last 2 minutes of the game.
Hyman hits both. He's 7 of 8 from distance, 21 total points. The Beacons lead is 84-83 with 2 minutes to play. Lee ahead for Barnes. The Beacons have attempted just 5 threes today, 2 of 5 from the field. Pine Manor's had a lot more success there. Freeman is being guarded by Hyman. UMass Boston has not gone to that matchup despite the fact Hyman has 4 fouls. Already 2 big men for Pine Manor have fouled out. Can the Beacons get a third? Powers from straight away, bit too strong. Freeman fighting for the rebound and wins it. Loses the ball on his way up. Going to the floor there was Chancey Williams, and the jump ball will go back to the Beacons. 1:30 to go. Williams just back into the game, was content to sit on it, and the Beacons will retain possession here with just 90 seconds left in this non-conference matchup, the final of the year for UMass Boston. Lee, the freshman point guard, has been so good today, working on Williams. Freeman wants it again, working on And there's a player who came from behind and made contact, no call. Now Powers is stripped, will get a foul, but Steve, what happened there to Sam Freeman? It looked like he was shoved. And
it looks like he was tackled, not shoved. He was absolutely bodied down low, but there was, I thought there was a foul. There was no foul call. I mean, that was absurd to me.
Well, instead of being a potential 5th on Hyman, it's the 4th on Roberson. Becomes the 4th player on Pine Manor to pick up 4 or more fouls, and Powers misses a key free throw. Just a 1-point Beacons lead. The Beacons will continue to go, not quite offense for defense, because they're keeping Sinelli out for as many possessions as they can, but Sinelli back in there for Barnes. Powers 1 of 2. The Beacons lead is 85-83. UMass Boston still has not scored from anywhere but the free throw line. Neither has Pine Manor. Bell stripped on the way up. That's 4 on Barnes. And Rasheed Bell has a chance to tie the game at 85. Steve, we thought this game was going to end in the 70s.
Well, I mean, we've had an extra 4 minutes to play.
And it has a chance to get right up to that 90-point mark that Pine Manor wants.
And we've been here a little longer than expected, so more baskets are being made, and we're here a little bit longer.
That normally is how it works out. 85-84 Beacons after the first free throw is good from Bell. Barnes back in from Sinelli. If Bell can hit this one, we will have played 3 minutes and 44 seconds and have been in the same spot. Although a few characters have picked up a few more fouls, including 5 on Josh Gauss. Lee ahead for Powers, right back for Lee. The Beacons able to break the press. Barnes for Powers, looking to drive, left-hand lay-in, way too strong. Rebound out of bounds off of Freeman. It looked like Hyman had his left hand in there, and Pine Manor will have a chance to grab their first lead in OT in a while. They did lead by 2 on the first 2 free throws.
Yeah, tough touch by Dan Powers. Obviously, he's going full speed into the lane. Just didn't really get a good grip on it and just kind of threw it off the backboard.
Bell stripped by Powers. Ahead for Sanchez. 1 player to beat. Finishes with the left hand. UMass Boston back up 2 with 53.1 seconds left. Roberson working on 4 fouls. Kicks it out near side. Chancey Williams from distance. Drains it. After not seeing anything but free throws in the first 4 minutes of OT, a lay-in from Sanchez, a go-ahead 3 from Williams, and Pine Manor leads 88-87 with 45.8 seconds to go.
Yeah, we haven't really heard his name in a little bit of a while, but a deep 3, there was a lot of pressure in his face, and he just sealed it, bottom of the net.
Williams is the 3rd member of that initial class for Rich Fozzie, who's been there the whole 3 years. We've talked about Roberson at length. We've talked about Hyman at length. Williams, who's been in foul trouble today, hasn't been as effective as normal. A huge 3-pointer there, 88-87 in favor of the visitors. Let's reset the situation. It'll be Pine Manor ball on any jump ball. Both teams have 10 fouls, so we're shooting 2 from here on out. A couple players with 4 fouls. Curtis Hyman for Pine Manor. He's had 4 fouls since about 16 minutes left in this second half. It's incredible that he hasn't fouled out. Already Ellis Reed and Josh Gauss have fouled out for Pine Manor for the Beacons. Powers has 4, as does Sanchez, as does Sinelli.
Yeah, I mean, Hyman has really carried this team and really been cautious the last 16 minutes. It'll be interesting to see what the Beacons do right here.
One other player with 4 fouls is Roberson, the top scorer on Pine Manor. Lee for Powers tries to strip the double team, able to do so with a bit of contact, no call coming. Lee will man the point. 16-second difference between shot clock and game clock. Not that the Beacons should be aiming to kill a ton of clock. Freeman working on Hyman from the free throw line. Spins, turns to fade away. Bit too strong. Rebound loose into the hands of Bennett. The Beacons need a foul. Now it's Hyman. Hyman's not the guy you want to foul. Ahead for Roberson. You want to foul him. Lee's not giving it. The shot clock's turned off for Bell, and it's a charge on Pine Manor. The 5th on Roberson. Did not need to shoot there, and somehow the Beacons get it back, and Tank Roberson is fouled out.
Well, you were criticizing why they weren't fouling, and I was right with you. He just it looked like he ran into him, honestly, on accident. A great charge taken by the Beacons.
That's the 4th foul that Sam Freeman has drawn on a charge call today, and we're going to see Lukman Abdul-Rauf, who's maybe played 120 seconds in this game, check in for this critical final possession to guard either Ty Lee, Iser Barnes, or Alex Sanchez. This is tough. Any foul here on the defensive end for Pine Manor would lead to the Beacons shooting 2. What a turn of events. If we can get you that last play, I'd love to see the replay. So we've got a charge coming. The shot clock was turned off. All Pine Manor had to do was dribble out the clock. The Beacons weren't giving the foul. And Steve, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
They have been not very lucky in the last 5 games with the 5 losses.
We see it here. Roberson will start on the near side, and he's just trying to pass it out top, and Freeman sets the feet and draws the contact. That one, there wasn't that much contact.
No, it wasn't, and it looked like Roberson was just really trying to get rid of the ball and just accidentally ran into Sam Freeman.
Roberson's still on the floor, even though we've had him at 4 fouls for a while. Now he'll check out. Lukman Abdul-Rauf back into the game. For the Beacons, it'll be Lee, Powers, Sinelli, Freeman, and Sanchez. On the other side, Chancey Williams, Rashid Bell, Lukman Abdul-Rauf just into the game. Tavon Bennett and Hyman. Lee needs to get it in. Finds Sanchez. Double team back for Lee. 15 left on the clock. He's got to get it across first, obviously, and does so. The Beacons will call timeout. Set up their offense with 10.9 to go. Steve, a huge difference here right now is the Beacons have 5 starters on the floor. Hyman and Bell are the only starters left for this Pine Manor team. You talk about inexperience potentially playing a factor in this late game situation. Don't think this is the lineup Pine Manor wants out there defensively.
No, not at all, but it's also interesting to see what Coach Harris really draws up here. I mean, such an experienced coach, one of the better coaches in the LEC to say the least. What do you think he goes to in this situation?
I think first off you have to take account of the size advantage. One of the few times the Beacons will have it, you need to get a shot off with maybe 3 or 4 seconds left because you have the chance for that offensive rebound and a putback. The other thing that you have to take into consideration is Freeman needs to have the ball. At some point, you either use him as the dummy to give the pass or the guy you're going to go to. He hit the game-winning shot against Tufts when Tufts was number 5 in the country. He's been very good today. Lee's had a lot of success when this Pine Manor team has struggled to get into their half-court defense. Freeman has been the guy who's been successful normally in the half-court offense. Powers is having a slow offensive game, as is Sanchez. The other guy out there, the wild card, is Sinelli. He's been getting to the line at will. You could head to the line here with the chance to tie it and potentially win it. 10.9 seconds left. Both teams will keep the same 5 out there. Lee to inbounds into the backcourt for Powers. The handoff for Lee has 8.5 seconds to go. Working here against Chancey Williams. Lee avoids the screen, goes downhill. The scoop shot off the mark. Rebound into the hands of Hyman. The Beacons need to foul. They're not going to get it off. And UMass Boston falls in a heartbreaker. The game-winning shot from Chancey Williams with 45 seconds left. A 3-pointer from the wing gives Pine Manor an 88-87 overtime victory. The Beacons fought back so hard to get it to overtime, but just falling short here at home in the final game of their 4-game homestand.
Just falling short, and that sounds like we've said that for the last 6 games. Definitely a tough skid for the Beacons, and right when you thought there was a light at the end of the tunnel, that's the way it goes.
We'll head down low and see if Jason Harris is up for an interview, and then finish it off with our post-game show here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. UMass Boston, a 1-point heartbreaker here at home.
Hi, my name's Carl Joseph. I'm currently a criminal justice major. I'm a senior. I am from Brockton, Massachusetts. In basketball, I play small forward / power forward, and in track, I'm a high jumper. Basketball has always been my first love. The favorite part was probably our win over MIT. Like that was tremendous. I almost came to tears just from where the program has come from where I first came here to where we are now. It's just amazing, and I love it. Honestly, I was recruited for basketball. My high school coach actually emailed the track coach here, and she walked into the gym one day and it was just like, here, you, come talk to me. And I was on the track team. It really wasn't much of a choice. It was a great honor my freshman year, just being able to become an All-American, finishing 4th in my first ever national championship meet. It was quite the time of my life. My junior year, we received our LEC championship rings from our sophomore year. And coming in into my freshman year at UMass, I was able to witness the volleyball team win their championship and the soccer team, and the only thing that I really wanted was a ring of my own.
Here's Joseph knifing through.
Funny thing is, I actually work here as well. I am one of the Zamboni drivers to our men's and women's hockey teams, and that's what I do for part-time. Being a student here at campus, I can honestly tell you, is quite different from anywhere else you could possibly go. Just the student body here is amazing. I mean, the teachers are amazing. All the teachers that I've had never hesitated to help me out in any way that they could have, from extra help to me going into their offices just to talk about what's going on in the classes and just keep me on track. What I want to do when I graduate, I want to...
Joined by head coach Jason Harris. We're not going to talk about moral victories today, Coach. You've been oh so close in a couple of these losses, but today the free throw shooting was there. Some of the things that you've struggled with in the past couple of games were there. Is there some silver lining in today's loss, playing a very difficult team this close?
Listen, these guys are good, but again, it's the attention to detail. It keeps biting us in the butt. You know, just we keep coming up short with it. It's disappointing because a lot of them, you know, they're not necessarily the young guys that are making the mental mistakes. Again, we got to find a way. I mean, we've lost, 6 games in a row now, and 3 or 4 of them are by 2 possessions. You know, 2 or 3 of them are overtime. You know, you got to find a way to win those games, and right now we haven't, so credit to Rich and credit to Pine Manor. But, you know, just didn't make enough plays again.
You went a little bit deeper into your rotation today. We saw more of Maurice McGrath than we've seen all season long. What could he mean to this team over the final couple games of the regular season and the postseason?
Well, again, for Maurice, we're not going to put him out there a lot until we're comfortable that, you know, he can protect himself and he's in game shape and the game speed. He's so far behind that, you know, we get him some minutes and maybe he can provide some outside shooting and some offense for us, but Mo's really, really behind right now because of all the time he missed. And we're not going to just put him out there to put him out there. We're not going to do it until, again, like I said, he can protect himself.
Finally, Coach, a huge 3-game stretch coming up. You play the 3 teams that are at the bottom of the conference. How huge is this to put this 6-game losing streak behind you, put the homestand behind you, and go into Rick and play a competitive game and hopefully get that W on Saturday?
Seth, I'll just put it like this. You know, that was a long question. We're going to approach Thursday, tomorrow, you know, just the same way we've been doing after wins, after losses. I'm more worried about Thursday than I am about Rick. I haven't even watched Rick since the last time we played him for the most part. But so again, there's some things that we got to fix. It's about us. It's not about our opponents for the rest of the year. We're still making the same mistakes, and we're still, you know, losing games the same way. You know, and it's frustrating. And you know, again, the kids, credit to them. They'll come back and they'll work hard tomorrow, and you know, eventually we'll hope, you know, we'll get through it.
Coach, appreciate your time and your honesty as always. We'll head back up top right now and look at the highlights from that exhilarating second half in overtime. Manor defeating the Beacons by a single point, 88-87 in overtime. The long rebound comes out to Lee, 2-on-1. He's got Kirk to his left. Lee looking for double digits. He's got it. 10 early points. Oh, Rosario throws it away for Lee. Lee running one-on-one with Roberson. Lee underneath, off the glass. He's got 12. Hyman, 12 points early on, 13 total. Reed, the alley-oop from Rosario. Airballed it, in fact. Sanchez working in transition, has Barnes to his right. Finds him with the right hand. Barnes finishes, and the Beacons. Roberson dishes it down low. Perfect pass. And Gauss.
Gotta wonder if that's because of his face mask.
Powers downhill. Looked like he caught Hyman in the face on the season. You have to think that Jason Harris wants him to shoot that. Rosario forces the turnover down low for Bell, and Pine Manor leads 53-52. Roberson leaves it short. Powers for Freeman once again. Double team comes, and one opportunity. This possession with no points. Lee drives on Roberson, gets caught up in the air, and one. Somehow Lee able to finish.
I mean, if that
outside of Lee over the past couple minutes. Lee all the way to the tin, the up and under, and it's a 4-point game with a minute 4 for Roberson. You want to foul him. Lee's not giving it. The shot clock's turned off for Bell, and it's a charge on. And welcome back from the Clark Athletic Center. For the final time, it was Pine Manor behind a Chancey Williams 3. Only 2 field goals in that entire overtime. It was very exciting, very breathtaking, but in the end, the Beacons fall a bit short. Ty Lee's scoop layup a little bit off the mark, and Curtis Hyman able to dribble out the clock. First, we'll take a look at the final team statistics. UMass Boston did a lot of things they've been struggling better, but the one stat that's going to stick out to you is that turnover stat, another game with over 20-plus turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the freshman point guards, they've kind of struggled in the last couple games, but they both played great tonight. I mean, Ty Lee, hats off to him. He had a great game. Alex Sanchez, another great player, and Iser Barnes obviously had a great game. It was just that last possession. Obviously, you talked about it, Chancey Williams, a crucial three-pointer for the Gators that really put them over the mark.
And I think when Coach didn't point out any particular players, I think if you watch this game, you might know who Coach was talking about. But I don't think today the turnovers were on the freshman point guards as much as the team as a whole. You saw a couple of the guys who are returners on this team did not have their best games today. And that's why it was Ty Lee, who, if we have it for you in a second, was the Beacons' top scorer. Alex Sanchez didn't have his best game, but certainly was able to handle the press for much of the game. The future is bright for this team. The problem is for so many of these players and this coaching staff right now, the focus is right now, and you see Lee and Freeman both with big games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a heart-wrenching loss after they've had 5 in a row that have been mostly tight games. I mean, the last game against Keene State, they almost had the upset.
Well, this is the 4th game in the 6-game losing streak. They've been tied or leading with 44 seconds or less. Those 4 losses by a combined 12 points.
And, I mean, it's just that big shot that they're just missing. I mean, Sam Freeman had that big shot against Tufts. You need one guy that can really kind of solidify himself as taking that shot, and you could see Sam had a couple opportunities tonight. Ty Lee had an opportunity tonight, and they just missed. I mean, it happens, and they got to move on, but it's just a heart-wrenching loss for the Beacons.
Huge shout-out to our graphics operator, Alex Carasoto. Eric Rosario, we talked about his assists in this game, 13 of them, but he also added 12 points, all of them coming in the second half and later, and 11 steals, a rare triple-double that did not involve rebounds or turnovers. So congratulations to Eric. The junior point guard had a very strong game. Right now we'll take a look ahead. UMass Boston ends their 4-game homestand on Saturday. They'll be at Rhode Island College, and then back at home, the final 2 home games of the regular season versus Southern Maine next Wednesday. That was the game that cost the Beacons, or at least started this 6-game losing streak. A game the Beacons gave up the final 4 points and lost 82-78. And then a Plymouth State team the Beacons beat in overtime up in New Hampshire. Senior Day next Saturday.
Well, thank you, Alex, for that stat. That was a great stat. But obviously a great opportunity in these next 3 games to really get back on the horse. I mean, they're 3 conference games. Obviously, they're at the bottom of the conference now with their struggle to play in the last 6 games. But they can really bump themselves up if they win these 3 games.
Well, Steve, all 3 of these teams are below 500 overall and in the bottom 3 in the conference. The Beacons are tied in that 6th spot. But if the Beacons can win 2 of these 3 games, or all 3 of these 3 games, they still have an outside chance at a home game with Western Connecticut State sitting in 4th, well behind the top 3 teams. We'll take a moment to give a shout-out to our crew. Doing a great job today. My name is Seth Orensky, your producer and play-by-play guy, joined by Steve Witkowski, Anthony Searles, and Alex Carasoto, your directors, Alyssa Hatchie on Instant Replay, Carly Robinson, Tim Murphy, Gigi Braga, and Josh Ruffin, your camera operators. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. It was a heartbreaker, an 88-87 overtime win for the Manor College Gators over your UMass Boston men's basketball team. Hope you had as much fun as we did. Have a great night.